So he answered the questions in a relaxed atmosphere, with bearing in mind his constitutional rights not to incriminate himself. Of course, some of the questions had background information that he considered incomplete, and he told the officers that he was not able to answer some of those questions because the information that they supplied to him was incomplete.
If you describe to us when you see Nnamdi Kanu, how he be, what's in his state of mind?
Well, his state of mind wasn't as sound as it should be. You know, if you listen to his broadcast, you would know that he's a historian. But when I was talking with him, he had trouble recalling the actual date he was abducted. It surprised me. So to jog his memory, I asked him how many nights he spent in Abuja before he was brought to court. He told me 2 nights. So he was brought to court on Tuesday, the 29th June. So we figured he must have been brought into the country on Sunday, the 27th. So when I mentioned that date, he said, sure, that's the date. But I took particular note of that. I also noticed that he had a visible injury on his right wrist. I asked him what it was. He said it was where they had chained him, put the chain on him, and chained him to the concrete floor in Nairobi, Kenya. And he has disappearing injury on the left wrist and an injury right here at the nape of the neck. He appears like somebody who has been mentally traumatized, so he's unwilling to talk about one or two things until you prompt him. Like when I prompted him about the date, that's the conclusion I drew. How many nights he spent in Abuja. Is he
afraid?
No, he's not. He's traumatized.
If you tell us more about what's happened, because you just mentioned Kenya, and Kenyan government don't come out to talk, say, they no arrest Nnamdi Kanu for Kenya. So tell us more about
this.
What
happened is this. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu entered Kenya, I believe, on a certain date, right around April this year. I'm not sure. I'm trying to establish the actual date of entry. But I have documentation from a Kenyan hospital that placed him in Kenya as of 14th April this year, 14th May. So he entered Kenya.
And what did he do for Kenya hospital?
He went there because he had issues with his heart. He felt he wasn't well. So he went there, he was examined, and the diagnosis was hypertension and heart murmur. They made prescriptions for him, and my examination of the medical report indicated medications for heart and controlling blood pressure. So apparently he entered Kenya before the 14th May this year. So he had settled in at a location in Nairobi, a temporary location, and he entered with his passport. That day, on the fateful day, that was on the 19th, yes, not believe, certain, 100%. He drove himself to the airport from his temporary location in Kenya. He drove to Jomo Kenyatta International and went into the garage, the underground garage, to pick up a visitor flying in from outside. Okay, that is not necessary for this discussion, the identity or whatever. So the moment he got into the parking lot, the garage, a group of several men well armed to the teeth.
And this now waiting Nnamdi Kanu tell you about what you remember of waiting happened before they bring him to Nigeria.
This is what he told me, and his recollection of this was very, very lucid and clear.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so now they swooped on him. They gathered and grabbed him. Okay, in a very physical, rough way, and he raised the lamb. Luckily for him, there were a few people that were there, and the people wanted to intervene in terms of really very aggressive intervention, because to them, I asked him why they would consider making an aggressive intervention when something that seemed law enforcement was happening. He said perhaps they didn't believe it was normal. So the people that were abducting him told everybody to stay clear, that this person you're looking at is a Nigerian terrorist who assists the Al-Shabaab terrorists in Kenya. They grabbed him, put him in their car, and left. and took him to a private residence, not an official detention facility, where they chained him to the floor for most of the 8 days he spent there, and they really tortured him, thinking he was Al-Shabaab. So he kept telling them he wasn't Al-Shabaab. He had nothing to do with Al-Shabaab. He kept telling them who he was.
Who be these people?
Well, I asked him who they are. He told me they are Kenyan security officials. I asked him why. He said the insignia, the carriage, that he had arrived Kenya, so he had a bit knowledge of the terrain and how the law enforcement functions and the sort of things they wear, how, that they were brazen with weapons openly. It couldn't have been private parties or, some rogue agents doing that. He told me that the thing has a 100% degree of officialdom to it. So they took him to that location and they were torturing him, and I'm sorry to say they really beat him a lot. So, but at some point when he was trying to explain himself, he told me he was blindfolded most of the time, chained to the floor, bare floor.
But the Kenyan government don't clearly talk, say they don't get hand for this, and they no arrest Nnamdi Kanu for the ground. And also the federal government never come out to talk anything about where your client, where they arrest your client from.
Okay. You see, it's not going to be a question of he said, she said. I'm a lawyer. I operate on the basis of independent and credible evidence. The Kenyan High Commissioner might have sounded credible to the general public, but the information available to me can impeach every single word she uttered, including the denial that came from the home government. I have immigration stamp placing Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya just 2 months before his abduction. I have medical evidence placing him at a Kenyan hospital. Okay? And I have his own word. He's a man of sound mind.
And what's in your client, Nnamdi, can tell you about how they move him from Kenya, as you talk, say, tell you, to Nigeria?
Yes. You see, he said on the fateful day, that was the 27th on Sunday, 27th June, they drove him in a car to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, blindfolded him, and bundled him inside a private jet, like a Learjet. I asked him if it's a Boeing 777, so whatever, or Airbus, the big ships. He said no, it's a normal private jet that you often would see some people owning private jet, that kind of size. And he was the lone passenger in that jet, in that plane, and he didn't clear immigration. They drove him straight, on the tarmac, straight to the plane and very close to the plane, and put him inside the plane with Nigerian security officials, and left about 12 noon in the afternoon, and landed Nigeria same day in the evening, around something after 4 or to 5.
Make we talk about the trial we go begin again on the 26th of July. Yes. How prepared Nnamdi for that trial?
Well, we are, but there's not going to be any trial. There's going to be trial within trial. What happened to Nnamdi Kanu is, by legal definition, worldwide legal definition, what is called extraordinary rendition. It's a state crime. It's a crime by the state. If a private individual abducts or violently and illegally seizes another individual, it's called kidnapping, and in some jurisdictions, is a capital offense. When state does it, it's called extraordinary rendition. That's what happened. So if you rendered or you renditioned a fugitive or a suspect, you have lost jurisdiction to try that suspect because he committed an international crime. You broke your own laws. You broke the laws of the third state from which territory you renditioned that individual. And you broke the laws of the second state of nationality of that individual. That is what is playing out here, because we have 3 divergent but also compliant jurisdictions. The 3 jurisdictions here, Nigeria, Kenya, and UK, their laws prohibit extraordinary rendition.
Okay, so they've been calls don't come from different quarters, from different groups. Say the federal government must handle this case on a fair note, that the trial must happen, Nnamdi Kanu trial must happen on a fair note. Does this make you optimistic?
Fair trial?
That Nnamdi Kanu must have a fair trial?
See, there is it's an oxymoron. It's a contradiction to say that a jurisdiction that broke the laws of 3 countries and the international law, that's the 4th component, to bring a suspect before that jurisdiction should be expected to give fair trial to such individual. But like I said, we haven't even gotten to that bridge yet. When we get to the bridge of whether he's going to get fair trial or not, we are going to ventilate it. The bridge we have to cross first is the bridge of testing the impact of the jurisdiction of Nigeria to try Nnamdi Kanu for any criminal offenses stemming from the extraordinary rendition.
Hallelujah, Announcement. There will be 3 days fasting and prayer from Friday the 23rd to Sunday the 25th day of July 2021 for IPOB/Biafra worldwide. 10. O Lord God of Daniel, show forth thy power on behalf of Mazi, Nnamdi Kanu and Biafrans worldwide. The book of Daniel, chapter 6, 22 to 24. Duration of fast shall be as follows. Category A, 3 days dry fasting. Category B, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Category C, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily. Category D, 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. daily. Category E, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. daily. Category F, 4 p.m. to the following morning daily. Category G, 1 hour only daily. Children, old people, and those on medication are all inclusive. This message was prepared by Evangelist Uzak Wokike, Pastor Frederick Nwohia, Pastor Chris Wise, Evangelist Daniel Chukwu, Archbishop David Benedict, and this message was signed by Mazi Oscar Okeke, head of IPOB Religious Affairs Committee. Biafrans, the Bible said, if the people that are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, seek my face in prayer, I am the Lord, I will answer, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be free. Hashtag free Nnamdi Kanu now. All right, welcome back. Of course, good music analyzation of every word, analyzation of every article and news, anything you can think of, you can only find it here on this platform. Radio Biafra is where you at. Radio Biafra is the first and the last. My name is Mazi Onoha once again, and I welcome you if you are only joining right now. I want to assure you that you are at the right place. We are back, and of course, it is time for us to go full blast into today's program. It is breakfast, and then, of course, in a breakfast show, everything happens, and this morning is not going to be an exception. All right. Have you shared it? If you're on Facebook, have you invited everybody? Because the things we talk about here on this platform is something that you need to hear, something that is very, very important. We educate ourselves. We illuminate your mind so that you can understand better. And when they talk about it somewhere else, you will be able to face them squarely on, because you know exactly what you are talking about. All right, today is the 19th day of July 2021, and of course it is 21 minutes past 10 a.m. in the morning here in Johannesburg. It's very cold, I can tell you. It's a very cold morning. As you know, we are in winter here in this southern hemisphere. Very, very cold indeed. Here I am in the studio. I am shaking. I must tell you. But of course, it doesn't matter how long you have been in cold. You will never get used to that situation. But of course, we must continue, because we are doing the novel. We are doing that which is very, very important. All right, welcome back once again. If you are still joining us, my name is Mazi Onoha. I am from Omowa in Olo province of Biafra land. It is 11 degree this morning, and that is indeed very, very cold. 11 degree this morning. But we must continue. Cold or not cold, hot or not hot, we must continue. All right, let me dive straight forward into this article. It is an article, it emanated from Eastern Pilot, published on the 19th of July 2021. And this article, of course, is by Barrister Aloy Ejimako. You all know him. He is a legal attorney for our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And this is what he has to say. He is actually talking about an issue here. And I'm going to read it, verbatim, the way he wrote it. And then, of course, I will analyze it. I will add words here and there so that you can understand what exactly he is talking about, because the whole idea and intention of this piece is to examine the long-running notion that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu had jumped bail back in 2017 and thus deserved the extraordinary rendition that recently saw him to Nigeria. All right, so Barrister Aloy Ejimako, if there's anybody who can analyze this, if there's anybody who can see this for what it is, if there is anybody who can talk about this in a legal way you can understand, it is Barrister Aloy Ejimako. But my job here also is to dissect it and bring it down to a layman perspective. Yes, my job is to pieces it. I go pieces some, make you understand that. All right, let's go. So, by Aloy Ejimako, he said the intention of this piece is to examine the long-running notion that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu had jumped bail back in 2017 and thus deserved the extraordinary rendition that recently saw him to Nigeria. Whether you like Kanu or not, everyone would agree that the only logical way of determining whether he jumped bail or not is to pedal back to the state of affairs before the military invasion of his homestead in September 2017. All right, here we go. And give me your ears and please pay close attention. As of September 2017, Kanu was free on bail on a subsiding court order. His bail was not on personal recognizance, but on a bond posted by 3 sureties. Kanu was neither judicially nor administratively ordered to be rearrested. for breaching his bail or on account of any charges filed. And his next hearing date was set for the next month, October 2017. It is beyond argument that the invasion achieved a complete military routine of Kanu's home and caused fatalities of 28 people and injuries to many, including to Kanu and his parents, who were present and trapped at the premises during this invasion. The invasion forces also captured an undetermined number of occupants of the premises, some of whom are now presumed dead as they have not been accounted for to date. Most significantly, Kanu himself was also unaccounted for until he emerged in Israel several months later. The inevitable question that arises from the foregoing fact is this: what are the natural or foreseeable consequences of such a lethal military action against a defendant who was free on bail? Follow me. The following analysis will provide some answers. Now let's analyze. At common law, this is going to be legal, it's going to be a legal substance, but I'm going to try as much as I can as well to, break them into pieces to a layman understanding, because that's what it's all about. And that is what Radio Biafra is all about. We try to make our people understand. No matter, how legal jargon might be involved, we will try as much as we can to break it to pieces to a layman perspective and understanding. So follow me attentively so that you may learn. At common law, a bail is simply a binding promise by an obligor/surety to produce a defendant in court whenever required to do so. It simply means that, when you are on bail or when the court grants you bail, it simply means that whoever sureties you must provide you to court when the court needs your attention. The money paid by the surety to back up his promises becomes the bond that he stands to lose should he fail to produce the accused when required to do so by the state. In other words, a bail is a written contract in which the state is the promisee and the surety is the promisor. The defendant is merely the subject matter or the rest of the contract. And the fundamental purpose or consideration is to have accused appear in court by compulsion of the bond posted by the surety. So basically, the state becomes the people who are promising to release the person. And the surety also become the promiser who is saying, listen, I am going to provide this person when you need it. And the bond that the person pays, or rather the bail money that the person pays, become a compulsion to say, you know what, this money I paid, I don't want to lose it. I would like this person to return to court so that I can collect my bail money or my bond money back. So, just like any other contract, a contract of bail is subject to universal rules of contract, including, in this particular case of Kanu, an implied covenant on the part of the Nigerian state that it will not in any way interfere with or impair the ability of the surety to produce Kanu whenever required to do so. Do you understand? The Nigerian state that released Kanu on bail is promising that they are not going to make it difficult for the person who stands surety to produce Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. In other words, the military going to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's home to kill him. Simply what they are trying to do is to make it impossible for Mazi Abaribe, who is the surety in this case. They are making it difficult for him to produce Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because remember, in our proverb they say, it is only the tree that heard that they're going to cut it down, and the tree stand one place. But when a human being hears that they're coming to kill him or her, the same person will do what? Run for their lives. So now, because they came to kill our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and then of course, he tried to save his life by leaving the zoo. That made it impossible for the shorty who is Abaribe to produce Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because how on earth is he going to produce him? And it's not Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's fault, rather the fault of the Nigerian state, who made it possible for Abaribe to produce Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because they came to kill Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I don't know if I'm making sense. Follow me. Let's continue. This includes the covenant that the state will not take any steps like they took by sending the military with the defendant that might increase the risk of his flight from the jurisdiction or constrain the ability of the shorty to produce the defendant at his trial. So when the Nigerian state, which was prosecuting Kanu and thus has an abiding legal interest in his appearing for his trial, ordered her army to invade Kanu's home, it breached the basic covenant that required the Nigerian state or the federal government of Nigeria not to create a situation that will make it impossible for the shorty to produce Kanu in a court. Now, it is a responsibility. I'm analyzing now, and I'm trying to explain, because what I'm doing here is, because this whole write-up is filled with a lot of legal jargon. Remember, it was written by an attorney. It was written by a lawyer. So obviously, you should expect that. But my job here, Mazi Konoha, is to dissect and, of course, bring it down to a layman view and understanding so that you can follow and understand that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did not jump bail. Rather, they colluded, they conspired, and made the atmosphere in such a way that it would seem that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail. But we are here. We are here to debunk that. We are here to tell them that we know better. All right, let's proceed. So, when the Nigerian state, which was prosecuting Kanu and thus has an abiding legal interest in his appearing for his trial, ordered her army to invade Kanu's home, it breaches the basic covenant that requires the Nigerian state or the federal government not to create a situation that will make it impossible for the shorty to produce Kanu in court. So what the Nigerian state have done here is this. They created a situation that made it highly impossible for the shorty to produce Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in court. How did they do that? They ordered their army to invade Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's place, because they know that obviously he's a human being. He will run for his life. And when he does that, then the shorty will not be able to do what? Produce Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So they're actually targeting two people here. Make Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to run for his life, then turn back to Abaribe and say, where is Kanu? It's more like somebody who went into the bush. You hit and you come out on the road and you say, who is doing that? Who is hitting that? Whereas you are the same person who is inside the bush cutting the tree, and you are the same person who is coming out on the road asking who is doing that. So that's the game that the zoo government played here. They created a situation that is so uncomfortable, unbearable for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, in that they send their army to go and kill him, knowing fully well that obviously he will run for his life because he is human. And then they turn around and say to Abaribe, produce Kanu. You can't have it both ways. You can eat your cake and have it. And that is exactly what the Nigerian government did here. All right, follow me. Let's continue. And given that Kanu's death, mortal wounding, capture, or fleet escape are the foreseeable consequences of the said military invasion, that can impart his availability to appear in court. The contractual doctrine of frustration. All right, let me take this again. And given that Kanu's death, mortal wounding, capture, or flight are the foreseeable consequences of said military invasion that can impact his availability to appear in court, the contractual doctrines of frustration and force majeure will come into play. So basically what they did here is that they know the
ba nkukundiro bukwa ha kpagbo anyị n'ohu mana gakọrọ getuta gbagne turi ene nejeni Shindo chaja gwenyanwu osanye fele foto jesu mobu keneye osanye feli hakura kuno bawurak manye fele nkapira pino bosisi dinoshwa anyi paru watero futarako chukwa bia magbakwasa enya anyi nwere odogwu kuregede memamage anyi nwere odogwu kuregede memamage Nashi nehena tangbasu Boni yorobeswa nehebun gokuru Anyeje luka he nehebun dakri papa Manye sole Mohammed no bonyera heji koreka ezunu Biafra izu amosu Chukwa bia makpakwa sayenya Anyi nwere odogwu kuregede memamage Anyi nwere odogwu kuregede memamage Osneligwe Biafra kutere ligara Osu oche idoma chidokdoi ne ochi ibawa chidokdoi Kalaba ne abak ne abatete Chukwa bia magbakwa sayenya Anyi nwere odogwu kuregede memamage Anyi nwere odogwu kuregede memamage Okwana gwa Nigeria bunu avronya Oruru nepok bana gban Biafra Ibere dubeji ya majike Uwabonye merike Mbe ojukuzuru Babalirbo Chukwa bia magbakwasi yenya Anyi nwere odogwu kuregede memamage Anyi nwere odogwu kuregede memamage Eriri jiobele jisike Mejo chiyose jisike Nejo chinelunku Obele nelunku Oru mejo chijada Obele gata bechikpo Nonyi de dokpo tagere Chukwa bia magbakwasa yenya Anyi nwere odogwu kuregede memamage Anyi nwere odogwu kuregede memamage Nnamdi Kanu ahenya uwa Nnamdi Kanu ahenya uwa Odogwejegu kamukade ya nobu Odogwejegu kamukade ya nobu Chukwa bia magbakwa sayenya Dr. Nnamdi nso Nde mbonga daga Gede mbonga daga Newe mbonga daga Gede mbonga daga Mainjegre mbom Nde mbonga daga Newe mbonga daga Main lagre mbom Newe mbonga daga Gedem bonga de mind tree them bomb, the wind bonga de dem bonga de mind jig them bomb, dem bonga de Gedem bonga de mind palagam bomb, the wind bonga de Gedem bonga de mind jig them bomb, the wind bonga de Pum pum pogele 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 pum pum pogele 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 pum pum pogele pogele pogele
Fulani mu bororo na daji kun zo a kasan nan ku yan uwanmu ne mun yadda ku yan uwanmu ne mu muku maraba to ina son tambaye ku mu kan musulmi ne ku kuma da kuka so yan uwanmu musulmi ne ko ku ba musulmai ba dole ku bada wannan amsa daya in ku musulmai ne ko ku zauna daji ku zo kuna daukan mu daya sai mun bada kudi ku daina don wannan Allah bai yarda da shi ba in kuma ku ba musulmai bane ku gaya mana mun yi fada da kafiran da za mu yi da na yanzu don haka duk wani bawa kasan nan daga yau ya kirga na ba shi kwana 30 idan an shi gaba da zuwa gari a kama mu a kashe ku kuma ba ku fito kuka saya kuka fada da wanda wannan yake yi ba to mu kuma za mu zalayi duk inda muka sami bororo za mu kashe shi ba za mu tambayi sunansa ba ba za mu tambayi abin da ya kawo shi ba ba za mu tambayi inda yake ba in za mu kare amma gaskiya dole fita bara yadda za a yi wani shege ya zauna daji ya ɗauki matan mu ya zo ya zina da shi to ku kuma mutanen gari sun kani iware duka ku ji an sami hakimi guda ma'ango guda yana hada baki da barayi kuna ganin wayan sanda suka bashi beli sannan ya koma garin ku kuna hauka ne to diga yau ku ji duk wanda aka kama shi a gari yana hada baki da yan fashi to za mu kashe uwansa za mu kashe ubansa za mu kashe kaninsa za mu kashe bansa kuma yan sanda ku ji mun yadda ku yan sandan Najeriya ne za mu ku darajar ku amma da muka gani dan sanda ya kama kidnapper ya sake shi mu kuma za mu annon gunmen na yiwo ba yadda za a yi mu zauna ba za mu yi bacci a gidajenmu ba talashin da muke ciki ya ishe mu ba za mu bari wani kuma ya kara ba don haka zan kara bororo ardo dukkan ku mun san kun san wayanda suke yin abin nan ko ku haɗu ku yi maganin abin nan ko kuwa mu kuma za mu nemi magani salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh idan aka sake kama wani za mu shiga dajin nan duk ba fulatanin da muka haɗu da shi mu kashe shi ba kai sunansa ba
Nnamdi, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm happy to be with you as well.
Let's look at the Fulani question clearly.
Yes.
Where is the Fulani question taking Nigeria?
Well, there's only one way to take Nigeria, is to destroy the country, to destroy the space. Well, it has destroyed the country, and that's why I say we have now a space, is to take over that space and drive away, kill as many as they can kill, rape as many as they can rape, do whatever, plunder as many as much they can, and take ownership of a place that never belonged to them. That is where they are taking Nigeria to. And the resistance that will follow their ambition, their nefarious plans, is that will bring now the confrontation that will nail the coffin of a place they used to call Nigeria.
It will nail it?
Oh yes, certainly.
There's already a coffin?
Certainly. There's no doubt in my mind. The Fulani are, they may be politically savvy because of their advisors in Britain and US. They are too unintelligent to want to take over the space called Nigeria. They are too unintelligent to think that they can ever become owners of this place. It's just not possible.
Is that not a conspiracy
Intelligent
theory?
people will not attempt. Any intelligent people who cannot take over ordinary Biram in Plateau State, who have tried for more than 25 years and they've not been able to conquer Biram, just Biram, and take it over, who have never dared to attack a single village in Lantan, will now dream that they can overrun the entire Igbo land or overrun a Yoruba land.
Where is that theory coming from?
Which theory?
This theory of Fulani wanting to take over our land. Is it not a conspiracy theory that may tear us apart?
No, it's not a conspiracy theory. They tried in Plateau. Plateau is almost 100% a Christian place. Bauchi is about 80% Christian. Nasarawa is about 90% Christian. Niger State is about 60% Christian. But see what is there now. Benue had been completely ravished. Kogi State is under continuous attack. And they come, they displace the people there, they settle there. When you go to Sango Katav has virtually become a Fulani enclave, which wasn't so 20 years ago. It wasn't so during the time Lekwot gave them resistance. What I'm saying, therefore, is that the way they have plundered Benue, that people there can no longer go to their farms, they go into the houses, kidnap, rape, so on and so forth. The plan is to continue. Once they will have taken over the whole place, it's now to move downwards south. They've now moved to the east, they've moved to south, they've been killing people in Delta, they're doing the same thing in Yoruba land. Let me land. You can now see that it is the same pattern. That was the way it started when between 1804 and 1880, Yunfa, the supreme head of the Hausa kingdoms, of the Hausa 7 kingdoms, were massacred, and they took over and then installed emirs in these places. And they've not relented. It's the same dream that they want to continue now that they had a man who had greater sympathy for their cause than they ever had.
Then what is unique about the Fulani that gives the Fulani the boldness to make the attempts you have just described, which the Sultan will not agree with you?
I know Sultan now, they've now seen, that's what I'm saying, they've now seen that it's not possible, that they're just being stupid and misguided by their few leaders who are selfish and ignorant. You know, Albright, the former U.S. Secretary of State, warned the United States that we are becoming the most hated country in the world because of the way you are behaving. So that's the same way now Sanusi and the general in Sokoto, who is a sultan, they are also warning their people that if you are not careful, the way you are going with this your madness, you become so hated. What is it that's emboldening you that you continue this murderous journey?
Chief Adeni, from your analysis, it has been an ongoing process, right?
Yes, since 1804.
So it's not about Buhari?
No, not to do with Buhari. But they found a champion in Buhari when he came to power.
When you say a champion, how do you mean?
Because he's the president of the patron of the Mietala.
So that does not mean he's supporting them. He's just a Fulani man.
No.
It's just a coincidence.
No. Is the head of state, is the one that has agreed to rehabilitation of the so-called Boko Haram people, is the one that has agreed that 1,400 of them be rehabilitated back into the army. What other evidence do you need? What other evidence do you need?
But this is not the first time people who fought a war are being taken into the army. It has happened in other parts of the world.
No. They didn't fight a war. You cannot talk. We are talking of insurgents.
It's not a war.
No. Insurgents are different from fighting a war. These are murderers.
Even the FARC rebels in Colombia, some of them have been given space to come in.
Colombians were not waging you have to make the difference in all these things. Colombia, Biafra, whatever, they were not motivated by a mad project of overrunning people and taking over their land. In Colombia and others, they are fighting majorly on drugs. In Biafra, they wanted to have their own country. It's different from somebody setting out to say, I want to take you out of your number 2 in Bodija and drive you out of your room and your house or your family and go into the bush and take over your family and take over your place. There are not a question of throwing people who have been fighting wars and they have been rehabilitated. No, this is a different thing. You don't ever rehabilitate insurgents.
So how do we counter what is called the Fulani invasion? How can it be countered in the interest of the Nigerian state?
The way it's being countered, one of the ways, now the Yoruba are started with their Amotekun. I'm sure even though the Igbo nation agreed that they will, that is their governors, not their people. The governors say, okay, we'll go with community policing, which is still extension of Nigerian police, which is ineffective and compromised. But when they say Indigo, had dissociated themselves from the governor's agreement that they will just do community policing and that they're going to do their own Amotekun or something similar to that. The South is also doing the same. So that is one of the ways they're going to counter this madness. But more than that, whether you have Amotekun or you have whatever other vigilante or whatever associations you may have that want to fight and so intrusion to their lands, people now are emboldened to claim their lands. Nobody anywhere in Nigeria, even in Katsina, even in Zamfara, even in Nasarawa, nobody now is afraid of the so-called Fulani. And that's why I'm saying sooner or later, it will come to the open. They put veil on the eyes and faces of so many people for maybe 200 years, but that veil has fallen off. And so you cannot have anybody that will submit to intimidation from any other section of this country again, of this space.
The Igbos are spitting fire.
Yes.
The Yorubas are spitting fire.
Yes.
Even the Fulanis are spitting fire. Do we want to set the country ablaze?
You are a seasoned broadcast journalist, very intelligent, educated. You know, sir, that the country is already on fire. The country has been on fire maybe the last 8 years, but the fire became more pronounced in the last 4 or 5 years. The country has been on fire.
We can douse the tension, can't we?
We can douse the tension if just one thing, if those who are sponsoring the aggression can call the aggressors to order.
Is the Sultan as influential as he should be?
He ought to be more influential. It's not as much as I agree with you. Otherwise, they won't be stoning his palace 2 weeks ago in Sokoto. But having said that, the Sultan, to a large extent, is respected beyond Sokoto because a lot of people see him as a bridge builder. A lot of people see him as fairly being level-headed. A lot of people see him as a Fulani Sultan that is reasonable. He has a master's degree. He was general in the Nigerian army. And they expect that he will use his education, exposure, and obeying nature to influence the course of things. So even if he doesn't have as much influence as he ought to have had, I think he can build it up gradually because people like myself, my humble self, tend to see some respectability around him, which we believe can help in governing his people, path of reason.
Some would say that the North is caught up in its past, in the conflict it's created.
That's right.
It remains one of the poorest zones in Nigeria.
The poorest, not one, certainly the poorest.
And now we're talking about the Northwest here.
The poorest in Africa, if you want to say.
And if you look at them, that has become the zone of conflict.
Yes.
Even in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You have bandits in Katsina.
That's right.
Bandits in Zamfara.
In Sokoto.
Do you think the leadership of the North now knows that something is wrong with the past?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
I'm not talking about leadership, the political leadership.
Political leadership, unfortunately, no. Because if they were, I wouldn't expect the man in Plateau supporting Abuja. I wouldn't expect the man even in Taraba supporting Abuja. I wouldn't expect even the man in Katsina, who is currently paying, whose people are paying 1,000 per head to their attackers, to still be praising Buhari's government. But the ordinary folks in these areas are beginning to see reason, and they are not towing the lines of their political leaders. I'm sure if elections have been free and fair, no way Lalong, whatever his name is, could have become governor in Plateau. They would have probably chosen Jeremiah Hosseini. But because we didn't have elections since Buhari came to power, we've had all sorts of people claiming political leadership over their people. And that was what we have. So if you say political leadership, if you say, do they see danger in what is happening? And I say no, it is because the so-called political leadership is not representative of the people in these areas.
That's a region that has the largest number of out-of-school children.
Yes, again in the world, not only in Nigeria, in the world.
How did we allow this to happen as a country? Because you cannot exonerate the South from the conflict of the Nigerian state.
Well, I don't know whether we allowed it, and I'll give you a reason. From the South, Zik won against it in '64. Obafemi Awolowo won against it about the same time. Even as recently as 6-7 years ago, President Jonathan built almost 200 Almajiri schools in the north to make sure that their children go to school. So what else do you want the South to do? The Southern leadership had always been preaching against this lawlessness, this neglect of your people. They just wouldn't listen because culturally it pays them to have some people down. In 1984, Professor Jubril Aminu was Minister of Education. Yes, in 1884, in The Guardian. He said, if everybody was educated, if we allow our people to be educated, who will be the gardener, who will be the driver, who will be the cook, who will be the gate man? He said so. And but
there's some logic in that.
There's no logic in that. You could still be a gardener, be an educated gardener. We have gardeners in UK, we have gardeners in Canada, but they're educated. The secretary of my college lives in a bigger house than I live.
And perhaps he was talking about education to the graduate level, to the university level.
The husband is a taxi driver. The taxi driver's house is bigger than my own house. And I've been in Canada for 25 years. So you need education, whether you are going to be a tailor. My tailor in Canada has a master's degree. From Nigeria, I encourage him to come to Canada. He has a master's degree. And he's a tailor. But rather than collect $5,000 here for sewing this, he collects $300 for making agbada in Canada. So you can't say there's logic in what you're saying. I went to Abacha in 1992. I said, let's build modern houses. I brought in what we call the third panel, 3D panel technology from Austria. And I went to Abacha. I said, look, my friend. He said, no, that's not our culture. Our culture is that people should live in huts and live in the villages and live in the bushes. I said, but you are living here in the city of Lagos. Which culture are you talking about? Do you have Ibadan? Well, what culture? He said that's their culture. We don't. They
insisting on the social structure.
Yes, he said they should be living in their bushes and and so on and so forth.
And now they are running with guns on the street.
Exactly, because those children have been left unattended to,
and they are running down south.
Exactly,
too, because there's displacement in the north.
One of my boys, when I was chairman MD of Daily Times, one of the gatemen there told me that a Fulani man or wherever we came from, he said he had been married 50 times. He was under 40 years of age.
50 times?
Yes, and he had more than 60 children. And he does not know where any of the children is.
The program is State Affairs. Chief Tola Dini is here. Don't go away.
They will never be able to look us in the face. Then we can continue looting the treasury.
Welcome back. Chief Tola Dini is on State Affairs. We are discussing the Fulani question in Nigeria. And the Fulani question is also the Nigerian question. I could remember discussing the Igbo question. As you discuss whatever question, other names come into the picture. Looking at the Fulani question again.
Yes.
It's like it is a warrior tribe.
Yes.
A tribe always on the mission of conquest.
Yes.
It's not just the Nigerian problem as we talk.
No.
There's also the Fulani problem in Mali.
In Mali.
It's raising its head in Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso. In Cameroon.
In Cameroon. There's this conflict.
In Senegal.
Have we really sat down?
In Central African Republic.
Have we sat down to say, let's work out a comprehensive framework to solve the Fulani problem beyond the issues of emotion?
Yes, I know. Well, you're right. And I also agree with you that we should look at them beyond emotion. The Fulani as a people may have come from the union between the Berbers and some remnants of down south of the Sudan, that area and so on, intermarriages and so on and so forth. But the truth of their history is that they never, ever built even a village. They are just a wandering people. They are just like the gypsies of Europe. That's who they are. They are gypsies. They are what Supranequency called Sokugo.
In the noble burning grass.
Yes, the Sokugos. And because they are stateless, they are townless, they are villageless, they've always roamed about in the bushes and so on and so forth.
So let's give them citizenship of states.
Yeah, but the way they grew, the way they emerged, in fact, giving them a state is anathema to what they consider to be their culture. They grew up with animals.
Culture is not constant.
I know that is the majority of them have resisted change
because we've not given them education.
No, there were some of them who were educated, who had opportunities in the countries where they were, but they deliberately, those who emerged and they were educated, preferred having their majority still being underdogs so that they could continue to exploit them and use their state, the state of their being, to take advantage of the larger communities which those who have now escaped from these bushes are now settled. I'll tell you what they're doing. I've just cited the case of Jubil Aminu. And Aminu Kanu, a Hausa man, fought this something to ground. He was, Aminu Kanu, God bless his soul, was said, look, let us rehabilitate these Fulanis. Let's give them a space. Let them be somewhere. But the thing is that those of them that emerged, like Sadaruno, like even Danfodio, not only will they not want to allow the larger communities among themselves to settle down, They would rather just be a minority. When they conquer a place, make themselves the emir of the place, and allow their own members to still be roaming the forest. Because they were, those who didn't escape this forest life, they were brought up with cows. They think like cows. They, like somebody observed, they lived in the jungle with snakes, with cobras. So their thinking has never gone beyond that animal level. So when you see them carrying guns, when you see them raping and killing people, that is their mentality, that is the level of their reasoning, that's the level of their development, of their civilization.
But Chief, if this persists in a state where we have intelligence, is it not failure on our part not to have come up with countermeasures to rehabilitate their minds and use their energy for development?
We ought to. We should have. That was why Awolowo wanted to be president of the whole of the country, so I could spread the kind of civilization he brought to the Western region, which Zik also brought to the Eastern region,
which Ahmadu Bello tried to bring to the Northern region.
Which Ahmadu Bello tried to bring to the Northern region. But they resisted. Ahmadu Bello tried, but Ahmadu Bello still preferred the Fulani dictating the pace everywhere, even in the north, which was not the case in the south. When Awolowo brought Western education to the west, it did not discriminate between the Yoruba or the Edo or the Ijaw in Western region. Azikiwe or Okpara did not discriminate between the Igbo or the Kalabari or the Efik or the Anang or the Ijaw in the Eastern region at that time. Unlike the case of Ahmadu Bello, what he did was to ensure that he created fiefdoms. He created fiefdoms and made sure that the owners of such nationalities were brought under. And so they could not influence the global picture, even of the Northern region, which ought to have been.
Even the colonialists could not influence the social structures of the North.
Because they didn't, exactly, now you are talking, they did not allow it.
Or the colonialists allowed it.
No, because they, to their own advantage. Because the colonialists realized that they could not take an Igbo man for granted. They could not take a Yoruba for granted. They could not take an Ijaw man for granted. But they found that these people who were more interested, the Fulani were more interested in just preserving their own status quo and allowing the rest of the North to be underdogs, which suited their own philosophy, and which also allowed the British to do their ruling by indirect rule for them. So it paid both of them to be what they were, to remain as they were. And that's why they remain stagnant. It's not a question of why didn't we create a template to uplift them or to take them out of the woods. It was because, one, they say it is their culture. Two, it pays their leadership, the few that had escaped from the bushes, to subjugate the rest of their people.
Is religion a problem here?
The average Fulani person is not a religious animal. We have so many friends among them. They drink, they fornicate, they do all the things that all human beings do. So it's not a question of religion. There's no question of anybody being truly a Muslim there. You know, even I knew a chief judge who was supposed to be leading Muslim prayers, who anytime he came to me in my official residence, he would put brandy or whiskey in the mug and be drinking, and he would smoke and all that. So I don't think it's religion. When they started this Sharia, how many of them are obeying the Sharia? How many of them? No, not none of their leaders. So it's not religion per se, but they use religion to deceive people and say Hausas were not Muslims at all. So they say, well, let's give you a superior religion, we'll give you Islam. But that didn't apply to the South, because we've had Muslims in Yoruba land even before 14th century.
So truly what we are fighting against, or what is going on, is clash of culture.
And civilizations.
That's right. Not really the Fulani versus the Igbo or the Fulani versus the Yoruba.
No.
It's clash of civilizations.
Yes, clash of civilizations and clash of cultures. Yes, you're right.
That means we have not really integrated as a people.
Never. We have never been.
So the word the Nigerian people is a fallacy. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Because, again, in those days, you will say there have always been Igbo markets, Hausa markets in Enugu. There have always been Sabos in Shagamu. But those Sabos were occupied by Hausas. Hausas are peaceful people. We traded in Kolanot. We did even the few Fulanis that came with them at that time, when you had a Sabo in Shagamu or in Ibadan here, they would still look for one Fulani man and make him their Seriki.
How did the Hausa accept
They were subdued. They were subdued.
Despite their large numbers.
Yes, they were subdued. Of course, they killed, they ruined, they extirpated their 7 kingdoms. They killed their 7 rulers and took over under the guise of religion. Another thing they used the word corruption. Oh, your people are corrupt. We are sent. Your people are corrupt. They've always used the word corruption to deceive people.
But the jihad is over. How come the Hausa man is yet to claim that Hausaness again?
It's just now that the efforts we are making in the south have begun to yield fruits. You will be surprised to hear that now in Hausa land, we now have Hausa Christians. Never had that before. Never. We now have Middle Belt Forum that are saying we are not Northerners, we are Middle Belters. We are not Northerners. Don't call us Northerners. Now, when you see a Jukun man or you see a Lantan man and you say you are Hausa or you are Fulani, he will be angry. He may even draw his dagger. Don't call me Fulani. I'm not Fulani. I'm not Hausa. What we did not know until recently is that when you call a Fulani man Hausa, he will be angry. He will say Banzani. Because he knows that I'm superior to Hausa. Can you say I'm Hausa? But before Buhari came to establish his suzerainty over Nigeria, we lumped all of them together. We're Northerners. And like I wrote some 4 years ago, there's no North. There's no North that we used to know. The North is dead. There's nothing called North anymore.
So there's a Fulani now standing on his own.
He's standing on his own. There's no more North. If they try any war today, oh God of mercy. The kind of cohesion you had in the army, in the military in 1966, will never happen again in this country, if there is a country at all. You will not find a Hausa soldier now, an Igbo soldier going to Enugu to kill a fellow Igbo. You will not even find an Igbo soldier coming to Ibadan to kill a Yoruba man, or a Yoruba soldier going to Enugu to kill an Igbo man. It will not happen again. So the Lantan people, the Benue people will never ever allow themselves to be used by any Fulani mischief maker.
So if I'm getting you right, your argument is that the Fulani hegemony has been broken.
Dead.
If the Fulani hegemony has been broken,
yes,
does it mean that the social structure of Nigeria is about to witness a very hard hit that will lead to a new Nigeria?
Yes, for those who agree with you to the extent of the fact that there are still some people who want a Nigeria, a group that I don't belong to. But for such people, yes, with the weakening of Fulani hegemony, there could be a Nigeria that will integrate the Soba Fulanis, the town Fulanis, and still reconstruct, rebuild, and then have a Nigeria that should be. But I, as a person, as Tola Deni, believe that it will take probably 1,000 years to change the mindset of a Fulani person whose philosophy is kill, maim, rape, send away people from their land and let me occupy it.
That is the bush Fulani.
It is the bush Fulani.
Not the town Fulani.
Not the town Fulani.
And the town Fulani is more in number.
No! The town Fulani is less than 1%.
How did you get that figure?
Oh, go and find out. Let them allow. Let them allow. It says, "What the Fulani? There are very few. The ones who have in Abuja, or the few that dot spaces in Sokoto. I'm sure that you know that Sokoto, as we speak, is not a Fulani. Is not a Fulani town.
Is it not?
No, that's a mistake we make. Zamfara is not a Fulani town. There are more houses in Zamfara than Fulani. There are more Hausas in Kanu than Fulani.
But the Fulani govern.
They are in town, they are in charge.
Yes, so it's their town.
Yes. By subterfuge, by cunning, by crookedness, by all sorts of gimmickry.
Or by integration.
Not integration, by intimidation. And I said they are politically savvy. What they did to the rest of Nigeria, when they realized that the Fulani in the military, they could no longer use the military to retain power indefinitely. Since they've had power, they had access to the treasury, they say, oh yes, Edmund is from the east, or wherever. Brilliant man. He may likely oppose us and contest with us and rival us. Let's make him an ambassador. Let's give him an oil block. Let's make him a billionaire. We padlock his mouth. Let's get an Abiola. Make him a billionaire. Let's get this. Let's get that. And make them big. They will never be able to look us in the face. Then we can continue. Looting the treasury, we can continue. And once when we are in control of the treasury, we are in control of everywhere. So we can hire thugs. We can do whatever we would like. And that is why they introduced what I call plutocracy into Nigerian political etymology. Plutocracy.
Meaning?
Plutocracy is the government of the rich.
Yeah.
Oligarchy is the government of the muscle men. So the rich man will employ the muscle men and they will be ruling. So you have the rich men who will employ thugs in Lagos, who will snatch boxes, who will prevent Igbos from voting, and then they will now have the government. That's what they have, the plutocracy. But the plutocrats will still be ruling, and the oligarchs will still be their foot soldiers.
You know, you've always talked about how savvy the Fulani man is in politics.
Oh yes.
But you also have savvy politicians in the South.
They never had power.
They are beginning to have power.
Oh yes, now.
So they've learned.
No, the power they have is still a few of them that, I mean, you can count those who have power on your fingertips. The fact that you have governors, I'm sure you're not referring to having APC governors who are Southerners or PDP governors or something.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Is there no political power?
When you are a governor and you cannot give order to your chief security officer, you cannot command a commissioner of police in your state. You are a governor. You cannot pay your judges. You know, judges are being paid in Abuja. You know now that the salary of NTA staff, Nigerian Television Authority staff, all over Nigeria, their salaries are being paid straight from Abuja. You are a director of NTA in Enugu or NTA in Abeokuta. You cannot pay this. You cannot pay the salary of your staff from your office. Which power do they have? That they have to go to Abuja every month to collect doles to pay their salaries. So when we say some of them have power, you have some who have occupied position of power, but they are still just in office. It's only a few of them that are now trying to assert themselves to return, because now they've been pushed to that level by their people. Look at the case of Amotekun now. God save the soul of any Yoruba governor that will publicly go to the street and say, I don't support Amotekun. He knows that his parents will be killed. He knows. No Yoruba governor will publicly say, I don't support Amotekun.
Now, before we round off, there is the Fulani question.
Yes.
There is the Igbo question.
Yes.
And there is the Yoruba
question. Yes.
We have been discussing the Fulani question.
Yes, sir.
If we don't resolve these questions, we'll go our ways, right?
Yes, certainly.
But we can answer these questions and build a one Nigeria that you don't want.
It is possible. Nothing is impossible, but it is difficult. Difficult in the sense is that by character, by pedigree, by culture, by level of civilization, we have one leg amongst these legs that believes in domination, that believes that others are inferior, they are infidels, and their own concept of their own religion tells them that these infidels have no right to live, to exist.
Their belief can be changed if they are engaged. Hitler had that belief.
Hitler was not, it wasn't a spiritual or faith. It's just a belief. We are not talking about faith. Faith is very emotional. Faith is very fundamental. Those who believe in God, it's very difficult to stop them from believing in
Despite
God.
this belief, we've been together since 1960.
I know. They did not, they had power, and the rest of the country allowed them to continue in the hope that it will change. But when you now had the great poverty in the north, you now had all these Amajis, I have all these insurgents and all those, built up, that people now begin to say no.
So that will create the change.
It might. I'm not saying it is impossible. I only say it's difficult. It's possible that the 4 million or thereabout Fulani who are terrorizing the rest of the country, it is possible for them to have a change of heart. It is possible. There's nothing impossible. If that happens, it will be a great day. But I don't see it happening, and I don't see it coming. What I see coming is that, like a people who are deaf and dumb, they want to pull the pillars holding a building on themselves and collapse.
Teacher Bento has spoken, right? Busola.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you. We bless your holy name for this morning. We thank you for grace to be in your presence. Lord, I'm asking for a fresh unction to be able to deliver your message to your church. I pray that your people will receive understanding. I pray that your name will be glorified. I hand over to you, Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Praise the Lord. My name is Bosun Emmanuel. A little bit about myself and the ministry. I didn't tell Pastor, I didn't want to tell him that I was ordained in the Redeemed Christian Church of God as an assistant pastor, as a full pastor, and I was the national coordinator of Redeemed Christian Church of God in Germany for many years. And the Lord sent us packing from Germany in 2006 and told me to go back home. Of course, you wouldn't want to return to Nigeria if you were living in Germany. You know what I mean. And when we ask, what are we supposed to do in Nigeria? There is nothing. Say you have an assignment. Go and meet the information needs of the church. The church in Nigeria lacks information. And the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Brethren, this morning I'm here to do only one thing, to give you information. What you are going to do with the information depends on you. But I pray you will use that information wisely, because I have very heavy news for you. We are in serious trouble. Now, let me quickly make certain points very clear. Number one, the presentation I'm going to do is not to strike panic in you. Number one, because I'm going to show you some things that will make you afraid. But the intention is not to strike fear into you. I am not a rabble rouser. I'm not here to whip up emotion and whip up sentiment. Please, let's get that very clearly. Number two, I'm not here to instill fear in any Christian. I am here to be an agent of revival. That after you receive this information, there will be revival in the church, and you will become an ambassador. Number three, I want to move the church to repentance. The Nigerian church has gone the wrong way. We must repent. Number four, I want us to foster unity. We are divided. Jesus Christ says a house that is divided, it cannot stand. We need prayers for Nigeria. We need prayers for the church. And then this is not a hate speech. I don't hate Muslims, and I don't want you to hate Muslims. But I'm going to tell you a lot of things that the Muslims are doing that may get you angry. Please do not hate them. They are not your enemies. Both the Muslims and the Christians have only one enemy. His name is Lucifer. The reason why we are in this crisis that we are in Nigeria today is because the church primarily has forsaken its responsibility. And then finally want us to return to discipleship, which we have abandoned 20 years ago. The Nigerian church in the past 20 years has stopped raising disciples. We don't have disciples anymore. The Nigerian church has now focused on raising millionaires. That's the focus of the Nigerian church. And we forget that on the day of crisis, the millionaire will catch the first available flight and fly out of the country. Only disciples will stand to defend the church. We are at war. Look, if anybody tells you it is peace and safety, no, don't say that now. We are at war. There is a full-scale war against the church. And right now, Nigeria itself is fighting a civil war. Nobody wants to say it, but there is a war going on. For the church to survive, the church needs disciples. Now, let me show you elements of that war. I will show you some images. This is First Baptist in Potiskum, burnt down. Another church, another church, another church, another church, Equa, Church of God Mission. There's fire going on inside a church. The foot soldiers of Islam, they're called Al-Majiris. Vehicles in church building. Now get ready for this next one. Get ready, brace yourself. That is how our brethren are killed. That is how they are cut to pieces. As I'm talking, this is what is going on in Nigeria. I'm not talking about Sudan. I'm not talking about Somalia. This is what is going on in your country right now. This is how Christians are murdered in this nation. They are cut to pieces. The hatred is satanic. And the reason why we are having this problem is because the church forsook missions. We refused to go. We all sat down in Lagos, in Ibadan, in Port Harcourt, nourishing our souls. We forgot those in the north because we failed to evangelize them. The harvest that was ripe 2,000 years ago, the harvest is rotting. Boko Haram is the rotten harvest. If we had reached them before the terrorists reach them, they will be carrying the Bible, not AK-47. See, what is going on in Nigeria, God is not holding Boko Haram responsible, he's holding the church responsible. Terrible cases that you will never believe are going on in your country. All these are Christians. I'm going to show you a movie footage for 4 minutes. I will go and sit down and you will watch it for 4 minutes. I can tell you, even before 4 minutes, you will ask me to switch it off. It is the footage of 501 Christians that were slaughtered in one night, including children, in a village called Dogonaawa in Jos. For 4 minutes. To make it better, let me speed it forward a little bit. So that
a cikin dare ne kuma gaskiya ba dole ko sun zuwa kamar wuta ta ne ka daga zuwa kawai sun wace harbi kawai kawai fara kawai suka fara harbi kawai in ka fita shi ke kan ya ba shi ke mutane ka kan wuta
Fulani suka zo kuma sun zo more than 200 kuma mu kina ta fita ma kina sabon sadika yarwan mu mata mu.
Announce in Judah and proclaim in Jerusalem and say, sound the trumpet throughout the land. Cry aloud and say, gather together. Let us flee to the fortified cities. Raise the signal to go to Zion. Flee for safety without delay. For I am bringing disaster from the north, evil, terrible destruction. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famine and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me.
All right, let's continue. Sorry, I just saw my mistake about the clock. I was watching the small hand, not the big one. I wasn't trying to be smart. Let's start. What I showed you took place in Nigeria. You can't finish watching the footage. I have to stop it. And it is still taking place as we are talking now. Now, the reality is this. It is not localized to the north. What I just showed you is planned to take place all over Nigeria. And Christianity in Nigeria is on its way out. We've come to the point that every Christian in Nigeria must consciously say, I will not be the last Christian in this nation. Because if we don't take time we are the last Christians. I will explain, and God will give me grace. Nigeria is on the verge. God doesn't want Nigeria to explode. God doesn't want Nigeria to break to pieces. God doesn't want destruction in Nigeria. God has an agent in Nigeria to prevent whatever evil we see that is going on. God has an agent to stop corruption, to stop oppression, to stop terrorism, to stop kidnapping. God has an agent whom God has empowered and assigned. This is your job. That agent is the church. Now it is because the church has failed. That's why whatever evil you see taking place in Nigeria, the church is responsible. Hold the church responsible. And that means hold you and I responsible. We are not doing what we are supposed to do. How sick is Nigeria? Now let's quickly look at the sickness of our nation. When you say somebody is sick, you look at the blood vessels, right? You look at the bones, you look at the skin, you look at the brain. Let's try and find out, let's look at the blood vessels of Nigeria and see what is going on to our country. Right before our eyes, Nigeria is becoming desolate. And the church is singing and dancing. See, this used to be Nigeria a few years ago. Rivers, streams, they are drying up. This is Nigeria today. If you travel a lot across Nigeria, when you get to bridges, watch. It's becoming sandy beds. It's drying up. The skin of Nigeria. Years ago, you see Nigeria with thick forest. This is Nigeria today. They call it forestation, or what do they call it? Deforestation. This is the country today. The skin is going. How sick is your country? This used to be mineral resources that was providing employment in the 60s. The whole of Plateau State, people were mining bauxite, aluminium, all over the place. This is Nigeria today. Nothing is going on. How sick is Nigeria? Look at Nigeria's bowels. This used to be infrastructure. Nigeria, there is no infrastructure working in this nation anymore. Now, let's quickly move forward because of time. And this is Nigeria today. The bomb is already ticking. And if you look at the second picture, you will see a young rascal that has grabbed hold of Nigeria around the northeast zone and is pulling. And that young man is already tilting Nigeria. They call his name Boko Haram. If we don't get this guy to stop, Nigeria is going to somersault. And that is where we are standing now. In fact, our situation is so terrible, America has to come in to help us. France is now saying we have to come and help you. Nations of the world are now saying we have to come and help you. And yet, the largest Christian auditorium in the whole world is in Nigeria. The largest gathering of Christians in the whole world is Nigeria. But Nigeria cannot solve its problems. We pray like nobody. So what is going on? How does our nation fare? Isaiah chapter 1, verses 6 to 9. I read verse 7. The word of God says, your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence. You know that is true. The Chinese are the ones taking the job. Nigerians are unemployed. The Indians are the ones owning the companies. Nigerians have no job. Strangers are devouring our land right before our eyes. And nobody is asking why. And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard. as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Hey, except the Lord of hosts had left us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom. And we should have been like unto Gomorrah. The immorality, the wickedness, the oppression that is taking place in Nigeria on a daily basis, more than enough for God to send brimstone and fire. But thank God for the small remnant that God left. I pray you are one of those remnants. If you are not, please join them. Believe me, it is the remnant that is keeping Nigeria. Now let's go to the next phase. They say it's 11:15, eh? Okay. Abuja Declaration 1989. Let me start from here. If you have an iPad here and you have access to the internet, right here, I will just invite you, please go online straight away and go to wikipedia.org, Wikipedia, and type into the search engine Abuja Declaration 1989. And this information will come up. Islam in Africa held a conference in Abuja in 1989. At the end of it, they issued a declaration, and it goes to eradicate in all its forms and ramifications all non-Muslim religions in member nations. Such religions shall include Christianity. Now please note that word. To eradicate in all its forms and ramifications. Now Nigeria is a member nation. All non-Muslim religions, such religions shall include Christianity. The word Christianity in the communique was underlined. To ensure only Muslims are elected to all political posts of member nations, to ensure the appointment of only Muslims into strategic national and international posts of member nations, to ensure the ultimate replacement of all Western forms of legal and judicial systems with the Sharia, then to make sure that this strategy works, because it's going to require money. Babangida, as the self-appointed president of Nigeria, put his hand into the treasury of Nigeria, took $21 billion out and gave it to OIC, to the Islamic Development Fund of OIC, and said, take this money for the total, I'm quoting, for the total Islamization of Nigeria in particular and Africa in general. Babangida paid $21 billion of our money to turn Nigeria into an Islamic nation. And they have started. Boko Haram, don't look at it as something that is isolated to the northeast. It is meant to cover the entire nation until Christianity is eradicated in all its forms and ramifications. Now, this was not mentioned in the introduction because I don't think that is something that one should talk about, but I just have to mention it. By the grace of God, I happen to be a member of the national conference that is taking place right now. And I'm the delegate of Christian Association of Nigeria from the Southwest. I represent Christians from the Southwest at the national conference. I'm part of the religion committee, and I'm also part of the interfaith committee. We sit down with Muslims to discuss this matter, to resolve this issue. We've reached a deadlock. And the deadlock is in separation of state and religion. I will talk a little bit about that. Can they do it? The answer is yes, they can, if we allow them. So God told us to go to Turkey and learn certain things. September last year, God spoke to Dr. Vincent Anibogu, the Director General of the National Institute of Transformation. And God told him that if care is not taken, in 30 to 40 years, Nigeria will be like Turkey. And God told him, go and learn what happened to Turkey. Now, Turkey used to be 100% Christian. Today, Turkey is 96.04% Islam. Christianity in Turkey is 0.21%. And God is speaking that if you don't take care, Nigeria will end up like Turkey. Christianity was in Turkey for 1,123 years. Islam uprooted it. Christianity in Nigeria is 172 years old. If we take the starting date from 1842, when Methodist Reverend Batch Freeman arrived in Badagry, you will remember that the Catholics came first in the 13th century. They did some church planting around Warri and Benin Kingdom. They left in 1622. Then the Methodists came back in 1842, about 200 years after that. Now, it is that coming of the Methodists that has now developed to what we have as Christianity today. So effectively, Christianity in Nigeria is 172 years old. Now, the point is this: if Islam can uproot the one that had been planted for 1,123 years in Constantinople, tell me, they can't uproot the one that is just 172 years old. As a matter of fact, the spiritual foundation of Turkey, Nigeria does not come near it. Because the 7 churches that Jesus Christ wrote letters to in Revelations 2 and 3, all those 7 churches were located in Turkey. All those 7 churches. Apostle Paul, the champion of the church, was a citizen of Turkey. The Macedonia vision that Paul saw, come over to Macedonia and help us, Paul received it in Turkey. Turkey had solid Christian foundations. Islam uprooted everything. So if the Nigerian church is deceiving itself, hey, there is fire on the roof. Oh. I work with the Voice of Christian Martyrs. And we go all over the north. That's why I was able to give each one of you a magazine. I want you to read the magazine when you get home. By the grace of God, I produced that magazine. I met the people, almost everybody there, one-on-one. We go to the north. It's not that I'm living in Lagos, somebody is bringing information. I go there. To Maiduguri, to Kaduna, to Kanu. I go to meet the Christians who are being persecuted. And I must protest that the church in the south is a selfish and a wicked group of believers. Because you abandoned the Christians in the north. Look, God is the God of justice, and God is the God of judgment. Let's not provoke him to repay us with our wickedness. Because if God looks at what the Christians in the south have done to the Christians in the north, he will fold his hand and allow Boko Haram to deal with us. We have to go to US. We have to go to Canada, to Poland, to Australia, to New Zealand, to raise Christians that will help and support Christians in the north. Nigerian church is not lifting a finger. It's not that you don't have money. The Nigerian church has money, but they help nobody. They only take and take and take. They don't give jack. I have to skip some things. The sin of irresponsibility. When God spoke to Professor Anigbogu, he said the Nigerian church is guilty of the sin of irresponsibility. To the church in Laodicea, God says, you are blind, you are wretched, you are naked. To the church in Sardis, God says, you have a name that you live, but you are dead. To the Nigerian church, God says, you are irresponsible. What Yoruba is called Oniranu. We have been given so much, we have delivered so little. We only think about ourselves. We are consumed with our comfort, our convenience, our promotion, our breakthrough. We don't even see what is going on around us. You saw the footage? You saw the footage? As I'm talking to you, it is still taking place. And we have men of God in this country who can stand and say, no, it's a pity Archbishop Idahosa is dead. If that man was alive, maybe things would not have been like this. And we should thank God for small mercies that we have somebody like Pastor Ayo Rishejafo as the president of Kanu. The people who abuse him the most are the Christians. And believe me, if that man was not the president of Kanu, you can't sit down here today. It's not true. You can't sit down here. Because Lagos has become a jihadist state. Don't you know that? Lagos is jihadist. You can't sit down. They will have locked this place. It's because somebody is still standing. And he's standing alone. And all the other pastors are abusing him. Go online and read what Christians are writing about Kanu, about Pastor Ayo. You will weep. God said, September 15, 2013, if care is not taken, in 30 to 40 years, Nigeria will be like Turkey. Exactly the way God said it is the way I have written it there. The name of the man God spoke to, I have put it there. Dr. Anigbogu told us this at a strategy meeting in Kanu in November last year. That September, this is what God told me, Nigerian church has an ultimatum of 30 years. If you don't repent and return and do the work God has called you to do and leave this nonsensical attachment to vanity and stop pursuing prosperity and stop pursuing breakthrough and pursue discipleship, in 30 years you will not hand over Christianity to your children. God told him to learn from Turkey. And what did the Most High say? Find out how Christianity was destroyed in Turkey. And Professor Anigbogu discovered that every mistake the Christians in Turkey made that led to the collapse of Christianity, the Nigerian church is repeating all those mistakes step by step, one by one. See, it's like we went to Turkey and asked the Christians there. We heard that you people used to be Christians here, and they said yes, but now Islam has taken over, and they said yes. Did you do something wrong? And they said we did many things wrong. So we said, okay, why don't you write for us what you did wrong? So they listed the mistakes that they made. Then the Nigerian church took the list, returned home, and started implementing it. That's what we have done. Time will not permit me to go into details. I will just run through them because there are still some things I have to share. I told you if I have to do a thorough job, I will need a minimum of 3 hours. But I will work within the 50 minutes. Number one, the church underestimated the young Ottoman ruler. The same way the Nigerian church is underestimating Islam. I have met church leaders who have argued with me. It's not possible. It's not. You mean what they are doing there? That they will do it here? No way. No way. You don't know Islam. You do not know the spirit that is behind Islam. Can you imagine, until you saw it here, can you imagine that somebody will take a cutlass and split the head of a child? When you were coming to church this morning, did it occur to you? Can you imagine somebody will burn another human being simply because he doesn't believe what he believes in? A church in Bogoro, they went to a church in Bogoro on Sunday, locked the doors, stood outside, and threw inside cans of petrol and set it on fire and refused to allow the Christians to come out. And they roasted 70 people inside church on Sunday. Deeper Life in Gombe, they were having prayer meeting in the evening. 3 of them lined up the windows with AK-47 and sprayed everybody. I was there, I saw it. I saw the place. In fact, I brought a piece of stone. I left it inside the car from Jos, from the mass grave of the 500. You can't believe it. The Nigerian church is underestimating Islam. Number 2, the Nigerian church, the church in Constantinople, which was the old name for Istanbul, which is now the commercial capital of Turkey, from where everybody in Turkey now spread out. They assumed that Constantinople was the best defended city in Europe. The Nigerian church is making the same mistake. They think they are the largest in Africa, the largest in the world. It's a mistake. It doesn't stop Islam. The leadership of the church in Turkey, within and outside, was bitterly divided. The church in Nigeria, are they united? Jesus Christ says a house that is divided, it cannot stand. Okay? On the basis of that alone, if Islam does not destroy the church, the Babalawos will do it. We are divided. We are not working as one. But thank God it is beginning to change. What makes me happy is that church leaders are now beginning to listen to us. So everything that I'm telling you this morning, I'm passing to you information. And I have to tell you the way that it is so that you can be galvanized into righteous action. I hope you are getting my point. That's why I'm telling you they are beginning to listen to us. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of work. But twice, Sister Basi attended the 2 meetings. We've been able to call them, the heads of denominations, with the president of Kanu, with the chairman of Kanu Southwest, with Satana University of Lagos. We discussed this thing. We met again, we discussed, and they agreed at the last meeting that they will unite. Because each person, each ministry in Nigeria stands on its own. They are not connected. In fact, don't let us even go into that because we will not have time. They are divided. Global News carried this headline in December 2011, Rumble in the House of God, Nigerian pastors that hate themselves. And they put their photographs there. And they told this one hates this pastor. Why this one hates? It's a big mess. Racism and tribalism weaken the church in Turkey. Racism and tribalism is weakening the body of Christ in Nigeria. We have the Yoruba church. Am I right? We have the Igbo church, correct? We have the Hausa church. Is that not so? Look, in the Yoruba church, if you are an Igbo man, if you carry anointing, let fire come out of your head. You are on your own. You will not reach the top because it is a Yoruba church. If it is the Igbo church, if you are a Yoruba man, possess all the revelations that you know, you are on your own. You will not get anywhere because it is an Igbo church. Only the Igbos will be that we brought our petty politics inside the church. That is the mistake they made in Turkey. That Islam is now 96%. The church is now 0.21%. Nigerian church is making the same mistake. And God is warning, hey, the way you people are going, I have seen it before. Oh. This thing that you are doing in Nigeria, I have seen it before. Oh. I saw it in 1453 before you were born. You are making the same mistake. Oh. You are going the same way. I will give you 30 years. I will hold them back for 30 years. If after 30 years you don't change, I will take my hands off your case. Powerless church authority without people's backing and financial support. I mentioned earlier concerning CAN, the only platform we have to fight this war is CAN. You can't fight it on PFN. PFN is only 20% of the church because CAN has 5 blocks. You need CAN. All the Christians have to come together, stand as one, and say no to Islam. But see, it is Christians who are abusing CAN. And Christians refuse to fund CAN. Now, how can you execute a war on an empty treasury? It's not that the Nigerian church doesn't have money. Let me ask you a question very quickly. What is the annual revenue of the Nigerian church? Does anyone know? No, you don't. 3 trillion naira. 3 trillion. The Nigerian church combined gets an annual revenue in excess of 3 trillion naira. How much does the Nigerian church contribute to run its umbrella organization CAN? You know? You don't know? 1,250,000. Each block pays 250,000 naira. Even that 250,000 naira, there are blocks that are owing arrears for years. They refuse to pay. So CAN has no money. Islam took $21 billion. Now tell me how you are going to fight them. With a budget of 1,250,000 naira. How are you going to fight? Meanwhile, God is angry that you are not doing what he called you to do. What he called you to do. That you are not doing your own thing. So how are you going to fight Islam? No, tell me. I can't explain this because of time, but I need to mention this one very quickly because it is repeating itself. The weapon used to destroy Constantinople was invented by a Christian. It was a Christian. He invented the Kanu Basilica, took it to the Christians to buy. Christians didn't have the money. He carried it to the Muslims. Sultan Mehmed paid him cash. In 3 months, Basilica was ready. It blew Constantinople to pieces. The same problem is in Nigeria. The strategy that the Muslims are using, that they are going to use to destroy the church, it is Christians who are strategizing for them. See, we've taught our people to be so sensitive to money that they've lost all sense of spirituality. The only thing the average Christian thinks about now is how he will get money. Whether it will cost him his soul, whether it will compromise his position as a Christian, he doesn't think about it anymore. Because the church has been priming for the past 20 years, we've stopped raising disciples. We focus on raising millionaires. APC is a party to watch carefully. I'm not a politician, but the church must know this. Because there is no way you can separate national politics from what is going on. I will talk a little bit about APC. But for 2015, APC has hired the campaign manager of Barack Obama to come and strategize for them in Nigeria. Yeah? When the man got to Nigeria, he needed a local to interface. The person he employed is a pastor to hand over power to a party that resembles, in all intent and purpose, the Islamic Brotherhood. Even Egypt rejected the Islamic Brotherhood. Even Syria, if you watch what is going on in Syria, the Western powers looked at the Sunnis from Saudi Arabia, they looked at the Shiites from Iran, who are now supporting and fighting Assad, and they said, listen, rather than allow either of these two groups to take over power after Assad, Assad will forgive you all your sins. Sit down there. That's what is going on. That's why Assad is winning the civil war now. Because the Western powers are now throwing their weight behind Assad. Why? We don't want Islamic Brotherhood. A pastor is the one strategizing for Islamic Brotherhood in Nigeria. The weapon used to destroy Turkey was invented by a Christian. Nigerian church is following suit. There is no time to talk any further. Constantinople had an army of 7,000. The Muslims had a force of 80,000. The church does not have an army. Look, if you don't believe me, Pastor, this Sunday, call for evangelism tomorrow. And tell the members, all these people here, that tomorrow we are going on evangelism, and count the number of those who will come. Those who come are the disciples. The other people, they will find excuses. I'm busy. I have to go somewhere. Pastor, you have to excuse me. I cannot make it. But they will not come because they are not disciples. That's our problem. Oh. Now, I'm going to say something without any particular church in mind, because each time I mention this at presentation, pastors get very uncomfortable. It has to do with cathedral. In Constantinople, rather than build men, they concentrated on building a cathedral. They built this house called Hagia Sophia, the house of wisdom. In its days, this house was the most magnificent, the most expensive, the most beautiful house. This was what the church concentrated on, rather than build men that can defend this house. On the day Constantinople fell, because there were no men to defend the city, the first person to enter Hagia Sophia was 21-year-old Sultan Mehmed. He headed straight for the altar, stood on the altar, raised his hand, and shouted, Allah Akbar. And right there he commanded, convert it into a mosque. This is Hagia Sophia as a mosque. And it remained a mosque for 478 years. Until 1931, when the government of Turkey went secular, then the government of Turkey said, convert it into a museum. But till today, it has not been handed over to the church. It is a museum. Now, Nigerian church could decide they want to build cathedral, but please let us put the horse before the cart. Let us raise disciples. Don't let us repeat this mistake. Let me come back to this one. I raised this during the national conference at plenary, and the conference went on fire. Everything scattered immediately. And the Muslims got up, they tried to shut me down. I pointed out to Nigeria that we have a constitutional problem. That is the core issue that we must resolve. And what is the problem of Nigeria? It is not corruption. It is not Boko Haram. It is not mediocrity. It is not lawlessness. Our problem is dual ideology within the Nigerian constitution. It must be resolved. If we don't resolve it, Nigeria is not going anywhere. There are two ideologies inside the Nigerian constitution. Let me show you something. Sharia is mentioned in your constitution 73 times. Islam, 28 times. Grand Qadi, 54 times. Muslim, 10 times. In the Nigerian Constitution, 1999. There is no single mention of Christ in the Nigerian Constitution. No single mention of Christian in the Nigerian Constitution. No single mention of Christianity in the Nigerian Constitution. No single mention of church in the Nigerian Constitution. Now I ask you, sir, I ask you, ma, is your country an Islamic state, a Christian state, or a secular state? Which one is Nigeria? Talk to me. Constitutionally, Nigeria is an Islamic state. The reason it has not been enforced is because they have not captured the jewel that is needed to enforce it. And that jewel is the Southwest. And right now, they are set because there has been now a handshake between the Northwest and the Southwest. And this is where Christians need to wake up, and politics now comes in, which we now need to start creating political awareness in Christians, because Christians don't vote. I am one bad example. So I'm not saying you alone. I don't. But we must change it and use our vote to quickly restructure the political imbalance in Nigeria. Because if you make a mistake of using your thumb to dig the grave of the church, you will stand before Jesus Christ and render account. I'm not a member of PDP, I'm not a member of APC, but I saw something that makes me worried, and I think you should see it. The leadership structure of APC. National leader North, Muslim. National leader South, Muslim. National chairman, Muslim. Deputy national chairman, Muslim. National secretary, Muslim. Deputy national secretary, Muslim. National publicity secretary, Muslim. National treasurer, Muslim. National financial secretary, Muslim. National youth leader, Muslim. Legal advisor, Muslim. Women leader, Muslim. Ex-official member, Muslim. Then they call you, come and thumb. Come and thumb. And there are Christians who are ready, who are already in APC. Look, if you use your thumb to dig the grave of the church, my hand is not there. Lo, I have told you. There is an Islamic agenda for Nigeria. There is now an agreement between the Northwest and the Southwest. We all open our eyes. We allow the political party to give us Muslim governors. 80% of their governors are Muslim. There must be a restructuring. 2015, Christians must stand and insist Lagos State, the governor must be a Christian. You must stand. And we are going to insist we are not accepting a Christian candidate that an Islamic party is going to give us. We will pick our own candidate under a different political platform. If we don't, you can't meet here. My time is up. Okay. The pastor says I should continue. Thank you, sir. Now, let me now quickly go back and explain what I meant by dual ideology. Because I did not explain it, I was running for time. Section 1 of the Nigerian Constitution says that the Constitution of Nigeria is supreme. Read it. Say it is higher than any other law that is made in Nigeria. Abi? Section 38, paragraph 1 of the Constitution of Nigeria guarantees freedom of expression, freedom of belief, freedom of choice. You can decide which religion you want to be under the Nigerian Constitution. Then the same Constitution now has Sharia inside the constitution. And Sharia says, if you dare change your religion from Islam to any other religion, you must die. Sharia says, if you practice any other religion apart from Islam, you must die. Both of them are inside the constitution. So you have two captains inside the same boat. That is what is rocking Nigeria. Because the promoters of the dual ideology don't want to lose it. See, I'm in the national conference. I sit in the religion committee. I know what is going on. I can't tell you everything that is going on. We are fighting to get Sharia out of the constitution. It is clear that if you touch Sharia, get ready for a bloodbath that you have never seen before. So we have no other option but to petition our God in heaven that God, you have to intervene. We can't handle this. They are ready to kill to retain Sharia. That's why we need your prayers. Are you following along with me? I'm giving you a prayer request. Please pray that God in heaven will intervene. And that dual ideology inside the Nigerian constitution, it will be dismantled. Because it is only when we stand on section 38 that we can now build a society that is founded upon liberty, justice, equity, and fairness. Until then, we can't. That's why all this crisis is going on. Boko Haram is killing. Why is Boko Haram killing? They want Sharia. Why do they want Sharia? That is what is in the constitution. Until you remove it, you can't solve the problem. Our problem is not corruption. Corruption is the symptom. The real disease is the dual ideology. And only the church can pray it out. But right now, the church is praying other prayers. Please pray the right prayer. Now, let me quickly go. Maybe if I take 10 minutes more from Pastor Muiwa, he will forgive me. Because I need to give us the background into what we are seeing now, very, very quickly. In 1983, OIC held a strategy meeting in London. And at that meeting, they strategized how to turn the whole of Africa into an Islamic continent. The reason of OIC is that Africa is the only continent that has the largest population of Muslims in the world. Therefore, the entire continent should be Islamic. They produced a 322-page document. After that strategy session, 156 pages focused on Nigeria. They identified 7 key nations that must be captured before they can turn Africa into an Islamic continent. The 7 nations are Nigeria, Kenya, Liberia, Malawi, Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa, and Democratic Republic of Congo. OIC says these 7 nations must primarily be Islamized. And of these 7 nations, Nigeria is number 1. Once they Islamize Nigeria, then there is no problem with Islamizing Kenya. So when you hear of terrorist attack in Kenya, that they attack the mall in Kenya, it is not isolated from what Boko Haram is doing in Nigeria. It's the same. Get the connection. After they did that, OIC now zoned Nigeria. Now this is interesting. Our current geopolitical zone structure, South-South, Southeast, Northeast, Northwest, North Central, you know it was not designed by any Nigerian government. I hope you know that. Or you don't know? I hope you know that there is no Nigerian law backing it. I hope you are aware that it was not passed by any constituent assembly or by any constitutional sitting or by any national referendum. It was designed by OIC in 1983. OIC broke Nigeria into 6 zones. Not to unite us as a people, not to develop us as a nation, but to break us into little groups for the purpose of Islamization. They have taken the northwest. They have placed a stamp of Islam on it, Sharia. They have taken the northeast. They have placed the stamp of Islam on it, Sharia. They are battling furiously for the north central, while the train at the same time has transformed into a political machinery and has moved into the southwest. So the next battleground from 2015 is the southwest. If the Christians in the southwest don't wake up now and begin to pray now, because you cannot fight them the way they are going to fight. How many of you will throw bomb? How many of you will carry AK-47? You will not. But the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. They are mighty through God. So you need this information. Are you following along with me? To begin to pray now that every Islamic agenda for Yoruba land, it shall not stand. And whatever they have already put in place, Almighty God dismantle it. Whatever they have planted, Almighty God uproot it. Because if you don't get southwest back, we shall lose the whole of Nigeria. The southwest is the key. That is where the intellectuals are. That is where the press is. That is where the manufacturing industry is. That is where the banking industry. Once whatever you get in the southwest, you can take it anywhere in Nigeria. It will sell. Now there has been a handshake under the guise of a political party. Wake up! This is more than politics. This is an Islamic agenda. When they finished, they handed their strategy over to Shehu Musa Yar'Adua. Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, the senior, presented it at the 1988 Constituent Assembly. That was how it entered the Nigerian consciousness. Until Abacha became the head of state. When he wanted to transmute from a military head of state to a civilian, he called Dr. Alex Ekwueme to restructure Nigeria for him. Alex Ekwueme gave him this 6 geopolitical zone structure. That's why Abacha said that he wanted 6 vice presidents, 1 for each geopolitical zone. And God said no, and he kicked Abacha out. If we had time, I would have asked you one question and say, who is the best president Nigeria ever had? In fact, I will have asked you 2. Who is the best president? Can somebody tell me? Go on. Wonderful. Any other answer? Obasanjo, Baba Yabo. Any other answer? It may surprise you, sir, and you, ma. The best president, head of state you ever had was General Sani Abacha, retired and dead. If I ask you another question before you clap, when did Nigeria become independent? Talk to me. 1960. I will tell you no, you failed WAEC. Nigeria became independent 28th of April 1996. The day General Sani Abacha was used by God to deliver Nigeria. That was the day Abacha removed Dasuki, the Sultan of Sokoto, as the Sultan, deposed him, sacked him, and appointed Mashido as the Sultan. That day Nigeria became free. Because what the British did was that when they were going, they exchanged external colonialism for internal colonialism. You people don't have time. You are already thinking of your rice at home. Let me explain it. 30th of September 1960, a day before the proclamation of independence, the British went to Sokoto and held a Doba, a mock battle, and they fought the forces of the Caliphate. And in that mock battle, the British pretended that the Caliphate defeated them, and the British surrendered. They now took the scepter of the Sultan of Sokoto, which the British had earlier captured. They handed the scepter over, symbolizing that the nation Nigeria, they are handing it over to the Caliphate. The Caliphate understood what was done. That is where the born to rule mentality came from. They were now the new colonial masters. Because Britain did not want Nigeria to rise to its full potential. They knew what would happen. So they gave Nigeria, you say you want independence? Okay. You want us to go? Okay, we will go. But we will hand you over to somebody who will continue to do the job for us. 1st of October, they came to Lagos for the public ceremony. But Nigeria was not free. It was still a colony. Now a colony of the Sokoto Caliphate. Are you following along with me? That's why for years in Nigeria, ask the elders, nothing gets done in Nigeria unless the Sultan of Sokoto says, go ahead. Even Obasanjo, that was head of state, he was a proxy of the Caliphate. Even Gowon was a proxy of the Caliphate. Have you forgotten that it was Gowon who took schools from the missions? All the Christian schools. It was Gowon who took it in 1972. And up till today in Nigeria, no Muslim school has been taken by government. Not a single one. Rather, government is using public funds to run Islamic schools. But they took all the schools of Christians and it was taken by a Christian head of state. So the person who said go on, you may not be completely correct. And we were in that second bondage until God raised a madman. Because only a madman could do what Abacha did. You dared to touch the Sultan of Sokoto. Abacha invaded Sokoto, captured the Sultan, deposed the Sultan, sent him on exile, appointed his own Sultan. By that singular act, Abacha exalted the throne of Nigeria above the Sultan of the Caliphate. Nigeria was free. That was the day Nigeria got independence. Go and check your history. Before 1996, Muslims were ruling Nigeria. After 1996, Christians have been in power. Prove me wrong. The moment Abacha did that, the first casualty of the new throne of Nigeria was Abacha itself. The throne said, you can't sit down here. Kicked him out. Abdusalam Abubakar came. He negotiated. Calm down. Just give me 1 year. Calm down. I'm leaving. I want to hand over to one of your children. So he handed over to Obasanjo. Whether he now did the right thing or he did the wrong thing does not matter. But that throne recognizes a covenant child. After Obasanjo left, he made a mistake. He handed it over to Yaradua. The throne said, what? 9. Handed it over to Jonathan. That's what is going on, church. Now, there is a battle in the heavenlies for 2015. Now, you need to understand why there is a struggle for 2015. You just read it in the newspapers. There is a struggle. Why? Because this year, Nigeria entered Jubilee. 2014. Jubilee is 50 years. 100 years ended, that's 2 jubilees. The 3rd jubilee for Nigeria started. Yeah, the president who takes Nigeria into the new jubilee is the one who will gain control for the next 100 years. The Muslims understand it. They want 2015. Once they get 2015, we are locked up for the next 100 years. So the issue has nothing to do with whether Jonathan is performing or is not performing. Are you getting my point? Hey, let me give you a website. It is called kingdomnewsng.com. kingdomnewsng.com. Go to kingdomnewsng.com and read the prophetic destiny of Goodluck Jonathan. You are the one complaining that Jonathan is slow. Jonathan is not performing. Yeah. You are using your mouth to say what God doesn't want to hear. Jonathan is 100% successful. Because God says, intercessors asked, Lord, why did you give us this man? He doesn't seem to know what he's doing. And God says he's not there to give you employment. He's not there to restore your economy. The job, the destiny of Goodluck Jonathan is to rebuild the foundation of Nigeria. And Jonathan is doing that 100%. Where did he get the courage to convene national conference? That is what is going to rebuild the foundation. So if you say Jonathan has failed, God says no, he has not failed. What I ask him to do, he's doing it. What he needs is the prayers of the church that he will be able to carry it through. You know, the national conference was almost scuttled. Overnight. I received a call overnight. Go and call your people in the southwest. This is what the Hausas are planning. On Monday, they are going to scatter the national conference. Everything has been put in place. It was the Middle Belt that saved it. Middle Belt stood up and said, look, we are no longer part of the North. We are Middle Belt. We are not North. If you do it, you're on your own. It fell out of their hands. If Middle Belt had agreed, because Middle Belt too... Let's continue analyzing Nigeria. Before we begin to get into things that we won't leave here until 12, because some things when you start, you have to explain it to the very end. I hope you understand what I mean. Okay. Now, analyzing Nigeria. After OIC broke Nigeria into little bits and pieces, they now began to analyze. They said the southwest is... the northwest and the northeast is sufficiently Islamic, but they needed Sharia. Hey, Lord, help me. I don't like using more time. North Central, they developed 4 action plans for North Central. Indigenship for the Hausa Fulani. They want to provide social services. They want to give promotion to officers of Middle Belt and then capture resistant tribes by force, which is what I showed you part of it. Southeast, OIC says, Christianity in the southeast appears formidable, but it is mercantile Christianity. They say it can be bought and it can be sold. That's the word. It can be bought and it can be sold. They studied us and they said all you need to do is give the Igbo man sufficient money. He will drop the Bible, he will pick the Quran. And it is working beautifully. As of today, half of Abakaliki has converted to Islam. As of today, the largest Islamic study center in Nigeria is in Igbo land, in Ebonyi State. If you monitor the news, January this year, 18 young Igbo men converted to Islam at the National Mosque in Abuja. It was carried live on NTA. The governors of Sokoto and the governor of Bauchi gave each one of them 5 million naira each. Your governor, Rocha Sokorocha, gave them 2 million naira. Ex-governor Jiuzo Kalu gave them 1 million naira. Of course, Rocha has now turned around and said no, that he did not give them any money. Shh, something that NTA carried. I've had the privilege to go to some parts of Igbo land and do this presentation. I have told the Igbo brethren, don't expect bomb. There will be no AK-47. Expect Naira rain. They will pump money into Igbo land. And they are pumping money into Igbo land. If you are from the East, please get in touch with our people there. Tell them everything is not money. Don't sell your birthright. 3 plans for Igbo land: encourage Muslim businessmen to go into partnership with the Igbos, encourage Igbos to become cattle rearers, encourage Igbo girls to marry Hausa Muslims. That's the plan. They have activated it. I'm telling you something that was planned 30 years ago. And as you are sitting down here, if I ask you, can you show me the strategy document of the church? The church has no plan. We are just trying to draw up one now. The church has no plan. Islam has put its own in place 30 years ago. They are implementing it step by step. Southwest. Islam said concerning Yoruba land, both Islam and Christianity are superficial. That is, if a Yoruba man tells you he's a Muslim, or if he tells you he's a Christian, you say, don't mind him. He's not a serious one. He's not committed to any other religion. That the real religion of the Yoruba man is traditional worship. Their strategy for Yoruba land is that they will start an Islamic movement that looks like Christianity. That Islamic movement will be meeting on Sunday morning. They will call themselves brothers and sisters. They will do wedding like Christians. They will do vigil like Christians. They will do praise and worship like Christians. If you buy land for your campground on Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, they will buy their own land. When you are having your Holy Ghost service, they too they will have their holy service without the ghost. So that in the process of time, the Muslim in Yoruba land will see no difference between Christianity and Islam. When you now go out on evangelism and you are trying to convert Muslims, they will tell you, Abba, Kilode, Sebolon Kono Lansing. We are serving the same God. Why? Whatever you are doing in the church, they are doing in the mosque. OIC agenda. It's been in place. You are seeing it with your eyes, but you don't know what you are seeing. 30 years ago. The question now is, what is your response? South, nothing much. All they said is, let us look for radical youths in the South. Give them scholarship in Arab nations, convert them, and send them back. Their first experiment at Sari Dokubo, it worked beautifully. They've taken hundreds of youths from Niger Delta. They are in Kuwait, they are in Dubai, they are in Iran. They are there now, and they are taking them, and they are giving them scholarship, giving them money. Those ones are come back. They will come back. They may not convert to Islam, but they will have a soft spot for Islam. Go to the south, to the north, to the Niger Delta now. If you are from Niger Delta, go back home and find out how many houses in your town were owned by the indigenous 10 years ago, and how many houses in your town are owned by Muslims. You will be shocked. They have bought nearly all the houses in Niger Delta. Port Harcourt, Yenagoa, Bayelsa, they are buying properties there. Why? They want the oil and the gas. We are looking at it and we don't know what we are seeing. When Islam plans 25 years in advance. They are master strategists. It is the church. You know, Jesus Christ says the sons of are wiser in their generation than the sons of light. It is the church that doesn't plan. They strategize, they plan. They have laid the foundation to take the whole of Nigeria. But it is not too late. Huh? My brother, it is not too late. That God is still talking now, it is not too late. So let us wake up and pick race and reverse whatever they planned to do. I've mentioned, let me quickly read this one out for you as I round up. OIC wrote a letter which we were able to get a copy with the seal of Babangida on it in 1990 February. 2 points there that I want to draw your attention to. Point number 3, Babangida was instructed by OIC, place total ban thereafter on all form of worship by Christians, Ahmadiyas, and all tribal religions. 4, impose Sharia law on Nigeria. This was in 1990. Islamize all universities, colleges, and schools, and courts of law in the... Now, can you see it, please? You can't? In the Federal Islamic Sultanate of Nigeria. They've changed the name of your country. It's not Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is Federal Islamic Sultanate of Nigeria, with the Sultan of Sokoto as the spiritual head. Wake up. This is how it is worldwide. Terrible rage against the church. Worldwide. Mr. Olisa Agbakoba is already fighting this in his individual capacity. We may not have time to talk, but I quickly need to mention this. October 1988, the Christian Council of South Africa wrote letters to leaders of the church in Nigeria, warning them, now let me read it out for you, that there is a proposed plot by northern Muslims and their Arab OIC supporters to destroy churches, carry out mass murder of Christians in Nigeria with more intensity in the northern states of Nigeria. I was at the West African Theological Seminary doing this presentation when one of the elderly lecturers there got up and said, that is correct. I received a copy of this letter in 1988. I made copies and I gave it to leaders of the church. But the question is, what did the church do? Nothing. 1988. And what was described by the Council of Churches of South Africa in 1988, we are seeing it with our eyes. Carry out mass murder of Christians in Nigeria with more intensity in northern states of Nigeria. It's not a lie. So if anybody thinks that Boko Haram is restricted to the north, go think again. Unless the church rises and stops them, Boko Haram will come to the south. You know they came to Osun State a few weeks ago. I hope you heard the story. They brought a bomb inside a bank in Osun State. People were vigilant, and they saw that 2 Hausa men who came carrying a bag left the bag, and they walked out of the bank. So people ran out, and they called the police. And the police came and saw that it was a bomb, and they defused it. I'm sure you've not forgotten that last year they came to bomb the Third Mainland Bridge. I'm sure you remember. They were to bomb it on Friday. God exposed it on Wednesday. You forgotten? Aha. They don't give up. The church holds the key. But before the church comes, will hear and God will answer. The church must first and foremost return to repentance. The church must first and foremost return to discipleship. The church must return to holiness, because we cannot continue like this and expect God to hear us. Pastor, let me go. I think I should stop, because if I continue, I keep seeing things that... I think so. Before I leave, let me mention this. There are 50 nations in the world that persecute Christians. 50 nations in the world. As of today, the worst nation where Christians are persecuted is Nigeria. Nigeria carries 66% of all the Christians killed worldwide. I'm not even quoting Nigerian sources, I'm quoting World Watch List. They said between November 2011 and October 2012, we recorded 1,201 killings of Christians worldwide, which gives an average of 100 killings a month, of which 791 happened in Nigeria. 66%. Which means persecution of Christians is worse in Nigeria than in Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Syria, Egypt, Libya, all of them combined. It is worse in Nigeria. If it has not gotten to you, it's on its way. But it will not get to you. My job is to give you this information so that you can go and reassess your Christian life as an individual and as a church. I show you this map. This is the map of Africa. Every area that is green there that has Muslim majority today used to be a Christian nation. The church fathers, early church fathers, were based in North Africa. Islam overran everybody. Islam is pushing down. Christianity is pushing up. We are meeting at that red line. 90% of all the conflicts in Africa take place along that red belt. 90%. Which proves that primarily every conflict in Africa is primarily a religious conflict. It's not a political conflict. It's Islam pushing down. And if you look carefully, that is where the middle belt is. And that's why I'm appealing to Christians in Nigeria, particularly in the south. Plateau State is our responsibility. Benue State is our responsibility. We must do everything possible to reinforce Christianity in the middle belt. Because if Islam should penetrate the middle belt, the south is gone. Nobody will. Look, the southern Christian is not ready to die. If they want to stop people going to church, all they will do is they will just bomb one church in Lekki, bomb one in Mushin, and bomb one in Bariga. The next Sunday, all the churches will be empty. Thank you very much for your attention. I give you a prayer point. If you will open your Bible to Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 11, the Bible says that the God that did not create the heavens and the earth, that's what I want you to pray. Thus shall ye say unto them, the God that did not make the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under this heaven. Before you stand up to pray, I want to talk to you about the Voice of Christian Martyrs. We are giving you magazines now. I want you to study it. We have 450 children that we rescued from the north. Those children, their parents have been killed. They are the children that I told you that we have to go outside of Nigeria to get support for. Nigerian church is not helping. I want to encourage the women in this assembly. If you find time, you can go to Abeokuta. The house where they are being kept was built by Canadian Christians. Those children are receiving free education, free clothing, free feeding. Some of them are now in the university. They started arriving from the year 2000 after the Sharia riots in Kaduna. We started bringing them, the Voice of Christian Martyrs. We need the support of Christians. God expects Nigerian Christians to support. Every information you need is in the magazine. It's a video.
Get it online, on your mobile. This is IPOB Community Radio, Radio Biafra, the first and the last.
Only one young boy on our fight for Godling de Befama Oto Sigotia on ice young Lotte Mem de Befa Adroman and move Mebu na Pacherika do Boda. Now, eventually, the government in Nigeria, Jejide demand, we Koyega, we Tunieranga. Ndiaosa, Ndine Birugu, Ndi Fulani, even governor, the governor, when they want to now, party, Allah Kuba, Natural Casafabel, now, no uniform, Nejide, how did they want to then give one no Libo. Name of at the same time. Ginafa ndilo ne nwangole ke wana nwangole inwe mental problem. Inwe very big problem. Oto ka esi ewe ha ti mari ha nwa na emeba. O se na bo no na election ka na eme. Owulo fe na achi ofu obodo, funukuto obodo nwano no n'ụwa, one of the major most powerful countries anywhere in the world. Ewe me election na befa the man lose election. Osbo lose election terrorists nile, ndị Hamas, ndị ISIS, ndị Al-Qaeda, ndị Boko Haram na-enwe aṅụrị na-agbapati na-agbọ mmanya na-aṅụrị na demand adịghị election. Gị nwa nọrọkwa n'ebe ị nọ na-enwekwa aṅụrịkwa na demand dakwara election. Inwe problem. Gị ifere na ka ndị ilo na-aṅụrị because of an event. Gị nwa sorokwa na-aṅụrịkwa because of that same event. You have a problem. Kyo idi. Oto ka esi enene ha ati mmadụ. Oto ka esi enene. Look at David eba. Ife niile na-agbakasị arụ bụ na ndị ilo ga-enwe aṅụrị because of ife dakwasịrị ụmụ Israel. Ịchọ ka ịma ebe ikwu n'obi gị. Ọ bụ na ndị ilo ife mekịta ndị niile kpọrọ Jizọs asị, ndị niile heti like na election a na-ekwu kịta. Ka emenya bụ election the man da ịbịa n'Israel dịka ebe a na-eruju ndị Israel covenant children of God ha na-ebe akwa na-eti n'ofu onye ha hopụrụ aka enyelefe aka wee nụnwe ọgụ ndị na-achị ikpochapụfa na-ewepụ onye a ndị Israel na-eruju ndị bụ ụmụ Chineke na-eruju gị nwa na-enwe aṅụrị. Something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with you. Mana ime ama mana ihe a na-ekwukịta nwee ike like ndị na-ege ege na-esela anyị online ọ na-agbakasịghị arụ mana ihe a bụ the truth of otu esi ama ebe onye kwunu ife na-eme n'obi onye anwa. Ị ga-amalili aka ọ bụ ife mwute bụrụ ife mgbawa obi na ịbịa na all the tribes enwe na Nigeria n'ụwa niile obodo niile nke ụwa even from Bible the only tribe amara how to protect their own bụ ndị Igbo. Sọsọ ndị Igbo, sọsọ the elites nọ n'ala Igbo bụ ndị amara how to fight and protect their own. Nna fe gosi gị na Bible now. Metụkwa m aka one time anyị na morning prayer da mana m na-emetụkwa ya aka kịta because achọrọ m ikwu okwu on this. Maka na ihe anụ nwa David na-asị si akụkọ anya n'ebe ndị ilo nọ si ekwena ka ndị ilo ya nafa ihe nwebe ahụrụ nafa ga-ebido tebe egwu ọṅụ because na ife otiti dakwasị ha nwa n'obodo Israel. Ndị Igbo most of our elites aghọtara ya. Oya akpata ịbịa watch ya over the weekend ụmụ okolobịa ndị ntorobịa nọ na Yoruba bịa na-asị na ha ga-enwe Yoruba nation na-ekwusi eke ndị polisi wụọ n'ọfa sịba ụnụ anwakwa na anwa pụta ụnụ anwakwa na anwa ụnụ atraịkwa na atraị a na-abapụ na apụtakwana fasị na ọsọ kwuo enigwe metụ anyị na ha na-enwe Yoruba nation ha na-etigbu ọmalụlu ụbọchị anwa to everybody's greatest surprise ha nupụta gbam jee ebe anwa ha gwu ha ga n'owe mie gbagị na-eme na ha chọrọ Yoruba nation dị ike Nigeria gwuo ha na-eme ha na watch ya vidiyo ya watch ya otu esi wee gosi ha nwa niile ife ndị Nigerian polisi na amị medebe bụ ịpụta na-agba ha mmiri biko gbasasịanụ ọsụsọ ofu nwatakịrị ka asị dị 40 years ka asị na anụ ọnwụ ya a na-asị na stray bullet tụrụ ya but they did not come out to kill those people. Try ihe ahụ ha mee try ya na Igbo just ụmụ okorobịa Igbo pụta n'okwube na anyị chọrọ Igbo nation na-ekwuru na ụnụ eme rally ụbọchị dị otu a ụbọchị ahụ na-enulu pụta. I am telling you a ga-agba ụnụ pieces gbam ozu mmadụ amadị less than 100 ga-atọgba ebe a. Gịnị bụ the difference? Difference bụ na ndị Yoruba mala na their elites ndị bụ ndị ọlụlụ n'okwu ga-akwụ ụmụ ha n'azụ, and ha ga-anọgụ ife mekwa na ndị a mafa na emetia mafa dị emetia. They will fight and protect their own. Kedu ife bata na Fulani herdsmen na-awanyalị n'ọfịa na-aga n'obodo na slọta ndị mmadụ na-alụ na-egbuwasị ndị mmadụ isi? Gịnị kpatara na wee luo tata na aka akpọrọ n'afa terrorist organization? Why? Because na ndị befa ma how to protect their own. Ị na-ekwasị gị rapụ na ụmụnne anyị amara our misguided brothers that we need to call them to order, no nwayọ harọta, no our misdirected brothers. So he said federal gọọmenti ga-ekwu okwu megide ha. Ife aga na-ekwu bụ na si chọọlụfa cattle route, ụzọ efifa ga-esi aga. Ọ bụ na fa mebie ịkọsịa rice, kọsịa akpụ, ha taa ya ewe n'iwe, emesịa ka nye gị compensation. If any government in the Bible is to defend them, federal government has never come out to condemn the Fulani herdsmen. Why? Because Nnamdi Befanine Ufanazu. Then Boko Haram, get it go away before we declare Boko Haram terrorist organization. Ha make the law, make the boogie, take the best of local government, maybe before we protect it away today, they still protect their own. Oh yeah, but na-ejide ndị Boko Haram ejide ha edebefa na ofu facility, then warfare na-enyefa bread na tea, bido skuzibelfa akwụkwọ 6 months ga ekpopụtafa yinyefa uniform, se ha foto wepụtara anya anyị na-ekilifa ebe ha si uniform. Ndị Boko Haram ejide ndị a na-egbu mmadụ, na-egbutọsị mmadụ, asị na ederadicalize gofa, then ekpolu ụfọdụ mefa send ndị afọ obodo oyibo ka fajeje gụọ akwụkwọ, ewelụzọ ndị ọzọ kpefa na Nigerian Army, se ha jee na amị ka jere n'ụbazọ ha adịgo mma, ha abụrọzi na ha echegharịgo. Otu a ka esi handle fa. The same Nigerian government jide ndị IPOB, ede ndị IPOB anwụ ha zam anwụ ha na sel, ndị agbagburu agbagbu, ndị nri afọ ebe ya edebe apịtị atụghị ha n'ime apịtị, ha na-atụrụkọ n'ime apịtị. You dehumanize them, you mess them up, you do all manner of things to them, and then reason bụrụ na ndị elites ndị Igbo a na-akụrụ ndị federal government agasa na ụnụ na try ụnụ anwa aka, because the Igbo man does not know how to protect his own. He nwere values for ndị nkefa. Ndị ọzọ niile a na-eme ka m gosi gị na Bible, ka m gosi gị something na Bible. Anyị ekwubughị ihe anụnwa mgbe anyị na-ele foundation for the kings of Israel, mana for the benefit of our viewers ndị a dị eso eberela anyị n'oge, ka m gosi gị an event mee na obodo Israel. O nwere one man bụ onye a Levite, onye Levi. In fact, this story dị na Judges chapter 9 to 21. M ga-summarize ya. Now this man ka akpọzi anọ nwanyị mana ọ concubine ka Bible kpọrọ ya, mana nwunye ya nwa anya dịrị ya ma ọ na-agba n'ilo, na-eso nwoke, so jee kwa iko die chọpụta, so die chụrụ ya be nne ya, o mesịa die like ya, so die after some days die wee jee ka o jee kpọnata ya, so die kpọnata ya ka ya na die izi wee na-anachi ya back ka ha na-aga chijibido fa n'ụzọ ebe fa chọrọ ịlalụ na market square. Ha na ebe anwa one man ji elu ugbo na n'abalị wee fa wee sara ebe ụlọ dị very dangerous, na ebe anyị adịrọkwa ezigbo mmadụ, bịanụ ka anyị jee na be m. So the man kpọlụfa fa wee jee na be the man. Ruo na be the man, ha bata, the man nye ha nri mago, nye ha camel fa nri and so on. Oluo n'abalị, ụmụ okorobịa obodo anwa ndị Gibea dị na Benjamin, ụmụ okorobịa obodo a wakpo the man, sị na ifụlụ nwoke na nwaanyị bata na be gị, kpọpụta the man ka gosi gị na Judges chapter 19. Look at verse verse 24. Verse 22, sorry. Verse 22. Now verse 22. If the man has said, now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, beat at the door, spoke to the master of the house, the old man, where said, bring forth the man that came into your house, that we may do what? That we may know him. Actually, Tinia, I be working, man, I like working by actually where go. The man, I deny. This old man was can the man, man. And when Mama brother, exactly if a man and care lot na Sodom and Gomorrah. Can't you know when the wine couldn't have a natural wine? When I work and work, I get in a limo car, I get me a pomotata. So, everybody may see the argument. The man no way because him na nwunye anwa na akwata iko so na esote ụmụ nwoke so the man wee package nwunye kwapụrụ si adị na nwunye m ụnụ ma ihe ụnụ chọrọ iji eme mee ya na verse 25 I'm na Russia verse 25 so but the men will not hearken to him so the man onwe ha chọrọ ịkwa iko took his concubine na nwunye ya nwa sị ebe ọ bụla na like ụmụ nwoke ọ ya iko ngwa jee ka ha kwa gị iko ka ịkwajuo ike afọ tata so ọ package nwunye kwapụrụ ha nwunye and they brought her forth unto them and they knew her. Ha wee kwaba this girl iko and abused her all the night. Kwagide this girl iko throughout the night. Yeah. Iko wee ju the woman afọ mana ife mezi bụ na by the time Chinedu pụta ụtụtụ that woman died. Nwanyị a wee nwa. So mgbe the man fụ na nwunye ya nwa verse 29 na verse 29 and when he was coming to the house mgbe ọ fụ na nwunye ya nwogo ọ baa n'ụlọ mbụ the man jee weta mma wee tụkwasị ya nwunye na verse 29 now say he took a knife laid hold on his concubine and divided her jide nwunye gbulie nwunye into 11 pieces together with her bones into 12 pieces and set her into all the coasts of Israel. Kelebe the man mere o jide ozu nwunye ma ọkpụkpụ dị na ya were mma gbulie ya into 12. O were side a o bugala ndị ebo Ruben were side a bugala ndị ọbụla na-ebugala ọkọlọfife ndị Gibea ndị Benjamin mere nwunye na ha kwagide nwunye iko kwagbuo ya ọnwụọ o bugala ndị Juda bugala ndị Zebulon ndị Naftali and so on and so forth. So mgbe ndị Israel ndị ọzọ nụrụ ihe ha wee sị mba na ndị mere ife a bụ alụ ka fa mee na ha mekwe in short ha ndị Israel ndị okenye niile wee mee meeting wee bịa wee sị ndị Benjamin unu malụ ụmụaka mere ha ụmụazị akwalike asị kpọpụta fa na anyị ga-egbu ha na ha deserve ọnwụ n'ụdị ha ekwesịrị ka eme ya n'obodo Israel. Ịma the funny thing ndị Benjamin wee sị fa fa ọ ya bụ ebe na-aga asị na onwe dị nwaanyị unu ga-emetụ aka ife a mere ọ dị mba mana mmadụ emetụ aka cha they protected their own they shielded their own n'agbanyeghị na ụmụazị abela adama ndị mere ha abụ sons of Belial ụmụ ekwesị ndị Benjamin jụ na we won't release them ya bụrụ nọ ndị Igbo so ebe fa nọ protect fa ndị Israel ndị ọzọ wee sị fa ọ gwanụ na-akpọpụtara ụmụaka anyị anụso nọ ga-enwe ebe 11 tribes ga-ejikọ aka wee bịa nụso sụsọ 1 tribe of Benjamin ọ ndị Benjamin ralụ kama anyị ga-akpọpụta ụmụaka nụso na anyị ọgụ kwado na ka anyị kwado to our greatest surprise ha wee baa ọgụ n'ime na fa baa ọgụ anwa ọ bụrụ na ịwọchi ya na that battle a verse 21 chapter 20 ka ngosi gị ihe mere the first round of that battle a Bible say and the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and they destroyed it down to the ground of the Israelites that day. Mmadụ one 22,000 men. Negekwanti ndị a bụ family alụ ha jụ na fama mkpọpụta ụmụ fa protect ụmụ ha anọbazi ọgụ 11 tribes wee bi n'ụsọfọ ọgụ ka ntinye otu a Chineke maghị na ife ndị Benjamin na-eme the right for protecting their own children. God fought for them. Family Israel niile gbuo ndị Israel 22,000. Now how do you reconcile that? Ndị Israel na-echi ya sị gịnị na-eme ha Simba Israel went to round 2. Now verse 23. Verse 23 was and the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until evening. Now, sorry, Ghana verse 25. 25 was and Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, was in Gibeah, and they destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel. 18,000 men. All of them were people that were drawing the sword. Round 2. Benjamin Ubukofa 18,000. If I call 18,000 plus 22,000 or the 40,000 Israel who's why? Each one the Benjamin is if I say now I know to protect our misdirected brethren. Why? Amariha me weje kwa iko kwa buo mmadụ n'iko. No ha ka na no ga fight. I na fight for them. Obodo niile ma how to fight for their own youths. Even now you should be so zealous to make a mistake. You will first of all if people you know chago dog but as any mono you were not going to well and then what they're na support her. Oh godly haizia igagente. Mani put up publicly na go see na or fear garu to control them. That is exactly the situation I'm on here, in Igbo land. And including this story, Gaba, you will discover wisdom of God about an even Israel, how we decided to fight with Aja. Gideon didn't Benjamin because they were fighting to protect their own, even though yet God did not allow them to be defeated. Until Israel were verse 26, they fasted, they wept, and then they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. Then verse 26, now verse 35. If you know Israel Benjamin or Israel verse 26, verse 35, we're saying, look at verse 35. Bible say, and the Lord now entered into the battle and smote Benjamin before Israel. So Chineke we will care where the million Benjamin, not Israel because of Aja. They brought God in by sacrifice. They brought the presence of God into the equation. If not, Chineke in the Benjamin, because they were fighting to last, to protect their own children. On a waliobi, on a wuterine. Mgbe anyị ga-aba anyị nọrọ otu a ifu nwanyị even though ha na-eme mistake mana ifuzia the elite ka fa bulie n'isi balụ na-abụ bụrụ fa ga na-alata jesisi bute aeroplane si bute jet si n'ebefa nọ si gbuwefa ọ na-agbalị obi because ọ dị against national law, ọ dị against otu Chineke si wee kọwa. I just pray na Chineke ga-enyere anyị aka, and I just pray na ndị ndu anyị na Igbo a na mmụọ amamihe ka abata ha n'isi, because many of them lose go the essence of their being, occupying the position ha na occupy. Oh yeah, but they can't even control the youth. They believers in them. They don't even look up to them. They see them as saboteurs. And I think the slaves to the Fulani, they sell them out.
Get it online, on your mobile. This is IPOB Community Radio, Radio Biafra, the first and the last.
Barrister Aloy Ejimako, thank you for your time with us today.
It's my pleasure having you.
Make I just start by asking this question. You don't see Nnamdi Kanu?
Yes, I met him yesterday for almost 3 hours at the headquarters of the DSS in Abuja. And we had quite an interaction, private interaction initially, and later on he was interviewed by 3 DSS officers in my